Welcome back to episode 170 of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. I don't know. I'm just thinking ahead about the first thing we're going to get into. And I've already started laughing to myself because I don't even know the story here. But
I don't either.
First I'll say I'm Josh, and then you're Troy.
Yep.
We're the two idiots that come and talk about hockey cards a couple times a week. Welcome to the show. Happy to get rolling. We got, I think, a fun show today. But so I got a text, and I don't know none of the details. Doesn't sound like you do either.
Nope.
Yesterday from you that you received a package. So I'm just gonna hand the mic over to you, Troy, and let you run with it.
Well, actually, I got a text too from my wife. She's like, "Hey, you got a package?" And I was like, "Really?" I'm like, "I didn't order anything. I don't know what I would have got." And she's like, "Yeah, it's ringing too, or it makes some noise." And I'm like, "Well, open the thing up." And she opens it up and she goes, "You got some bells." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Bells?" So I get home, and sure enough, I'm gonna show it on the camera here. I got a bell. I got two bells actually. So I believe some listener / viewer sent me a couple bells so we can have our modified button bar. Whenever we talk about Bedard, I can ring the bell. So whoever it was, I have ideas. Thank you. And I didn't ask anyone who sent it. I figure if you sent it and you want to let me know, reach out because it's absolutely hilarious. But I told Josh about it and you just started laughing. And then we're like, well, I got my bells now, and I'll give you your bell when I see you next. But we're good to go now.
Well, first of all, test it out. Let's see how this thing works.
There it is. Okay. There it is.
It is really funny. And I did, when I got the text from you, I laughed a lot. I was at a party and people were like, "What are you laughing so loud at?" I gotta admit though, I have a bone to pick with whoever sent you those, because here's my fear. Now you're not going to order the stupid button bar, and I really want one.
No, I finally, last night I was like, fine, I'm going to do this. I got all my research done. So after our show, I know which one I want. We're good. I'm going to order it sooner or later. Hopefully tonight.
Analysis paralysis. Yeah. Hopefully.
Tonight.
So we have our bell. It is pretty hilarious. Somebody's got a very good sense of humor. Thank you for that. We got a lot to get into, so we're going to get rolling soon. But just quickly before we do, a reminder that the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a Patreon podcast, which means we rely on support of listeners like yourself. Help us cover show expenses, continue to produce more and hopefully better hockey card content, and to fund initiatives, even in a small way, to grow the hockey hobby. You can support us for as little as $5 a month through Patreon. Be one of our first out of 199 supporters. Kind of forever hold that title in our Discord, which you get exclusive access to as well. Very easy to do. Go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com. Click on the Become a Patron link. Actually did some work on our website this week.
Nice.
It had been a little neglected for a while. And so kind of got it up, got a lot of our YouTube stuff on there. So make sure to go check that out, even if you are already on our Patreon. Or you can go to the Patreon website directly, patreon.com, and search for Hockey Cards Gongshow. There's a link in the show description, whether you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify or watch us on YouTube or some other podcast app. And then finally, in our TikTok and Instagram profiles, there's a link there as well. We do have, Troy, one new out of 199 supporters, long-time listener, very frequent mailbag contributor, Sebastian Engelhardt. So thank you very, very much, Sebastian. We appreciate your contributions to the show and your support. And with that, Troy, let's get going. You ready with the game plan?
On today's show, we begin with the almost greatest NHL player to wear number 70. I promise it will be better than number 69 was. Then it's off to Who's Hot and the Struggle Bus. Next, we take a look at some hobby news. This is followed by a segment on 7 burning hockey hobby questions. We finish the show with new product releases, the Gong Show mailbag, and any personal pickups. Okay, Josh. Previously, we looked at the greatest NHL player that wore the number that matched our episode number. We ran through all the numbers. So now we are looking at the almost greatest NHL player to wear each number from the runners up in the Hockey Writers' greatest NHL player to wear each number article. Josh, the almost greatest NHL player to wear number 70 per the nominees in the Hockey Writers' greatest NHL player to wear each number article, and selected by me, is this guy, Tanner Pearson. Are you a big Tanner Pearson guy?
Never heard of him.
Yeah, he's still playing too.
Oh.
I listen, I've heard of him, but I can tell you nothing about him.
Heard of him?
I know he's still playing.
What does he play for?
Oh, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Don't spoil it.
All right.
There were no other runners up at number 70. As a reminder, the greatest to our number 70 was Braden Holtby.
Heard of him?
You heard of him. All right.
Yeah.
Our boy, Tanner Pearson. He's a forward, Josh, from Kitchener, Ontario, Canada. Pearson.
I feel like there's a lot of NHL guys from Kitchener, like per capita kind of thing.
Yeah, we've been on an Ontario, Kitchener. A lot of these have been like the same the last like 10 episodes. All right. Pearson was the 30th overall selection in the 2012 NHL entry draft by the Los Angeles Kings. Pearson has played in 637 regular season NHL games over a current 11-season NHL career. Pearson played his first 5 seasons with the Los Angeles Kings. Then 2018-19 happened, and Pearson played 17 games with the Kings. Then he played 44 games with the Penguins. And finally, he played 19 games with the Canucks to end the season. So, yes, he is one of those players that at one of those times where he got to play for 3 different teams during a season.
Lived out of his suitcase that whole year, huh?
Oh, yeah. And I can't let this go. So I did some research. It looks like 164 players in NHL history have played for 3 or more teams during a season.
Wow.
So there you go. Pretty rare. After the 2018-19 season, Pearson played 4 seasons with the Vancouver Canucks. Currently, this NHL season, our boy Tanner Pearson is playing for the Montreal Canadiens. That's probably why you don't know him, because
we never see them play.
We never watch the Canadiens play. For his awards and accomplishments, Josh, he's a one-time Stanley Cup winner in 2014 with the LA Kings. For his career, 138 goals, 145 assists for 283 points. Pearson has made the playoffs in 5 of his previous 10. We're not going to count this season yet. 10 NHL seasons, compiling 9 goals, 14 assists for 23 points in 51 NHL playoff games played.
I don't think there's any risk of him making the playoffs.
Best season of his NHL career from a point standpoint was this 2019-20 season, where Pearson had 21 goals, 24 assists for 45 points in 69 games played with the Vancouver Canucks. And of course, because he was doing so well, the pandemic decided to happen and the season was put on hold. And that's where he ended up this season. That would stink. You're having a career year and all of a sudden, pandemic, we're done for a while. We got to figure this thing out.
It's like a Murphy's Law thing, right?
Yeah, whatever can go wrong will go wrong. All right. Pearson was known as a skilled forward with a hard shot. However, Pearson was skipped over for the first 2 times he was draft eligible. So 2 years he's draft eligible, gets skipped over. He was finally drafted in his 3rd year of being available in the NHL entry draft. Again, another guy. Perseverance paid off. Again, he was younger. I mean, I think he was like 18, 19. I think he finally got drafted at 20. So, I mean, not too bad, but it kind of stinks for 2 years watching you get skipped over as your teammates get selected.
Yeah.
Currently, our boy Tanner Pearson is still playing in the NHL with the Montreal Canadiens. On the current NHL season, Pearson has 5 goals, 6 assists for 11 points in 47 games played. We don't have a lot of interesting facts, but there's one kind of big one. Or it was kind of interesting. I remember when this happened, so that's kind of probably why I heard about him. All right, his nicknames, Pears, and I think this is supposed to be Piercy, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Got to add the Y or a long E at the end. Made his NHL debut, Josh, in the 2013 NHL playoffs. Again, we love when guys make their debut in the playoffs. Scored his first NHL goal in his first regular season game on November 14th, 2013 against the New York Islanders. Now, here's kind of the big one. On November 9th, 2022, Pearson suffered a hand injury and underwent surgery. On January 12th, 2023, the Canucks organization announced via Twitter that the winger had undergone his 3rd hand surgery since November and would miss the remainder of the 22-23 season. When asked about the injury on January 12th, Pearson's teammate and our boy Quinn Hughes stated it was not handled properly.
Okay, I remember this. I remember this whole deal. I just didn't connect the name Tanner Pearson.
This caused all sorts of drama. Hughes eventually clarified that he did not intend to blame anyone for Pearson's setbacks, saying, "I'm emotional, just like everyone else. I wasn't trying to direct blame at anyone. I don't think it's really anyone's fault. It's just an unfortunate situation." On January 13th, the Canucks began an internal investigation into how the team handled Pearson's injury. Then the NHLPA also got involved into the situation and began their own investigation. On February 17th, Pearson was placed on injury reserve and missed the remainder of the 22-23 NHL season. So I did some more research, and I could not find anything that said what the results of this investigation was. So it might still be ongoing. I don't know. I didn't find anything about that. But yeah, that's a pretty big – when you got Quinn Hughes, who's pretty well respected in Vancouver, coming out, and I don't care what you said afterwards. When you say not handled properly, you're blaming either the training staff, the medical staff, something you're saying was not right. So hopefully, I think obviously Pearson's playing now, so hopefully it all got figured out, like from a physical standpoint, but we'll see if anything ever comes out about these investigations, or if it did and I missed it, please someone let me know.
I have a question.
Yes.
It's a big picture thing, and I feel like I've done this 17 times, but I just can't stop. How long's the NHL been around? 110 years, something like that?
19. What was the first year? I forget when actually the first
It was like
year
the NHA, and then, we'll just call it like 100 plus years, right? No offense to Tanner. He's had a very fine career and probably get a pension, all that good stuff. And congratulations to him. Very happy for him. This is really the second greatest player to ever wear the number 70 in 100
I would tell you
years.
why. I'm going to tell you why. I actually had to do a bunch of number research for one of the mailbag questions. And I found some awesome posts on HF boards and talking about numbers. And I remember like up until, I don't know, like the 70s, it was 1 through 31 and that's it. Like higher numbers are like a recent phenomenon.
Oh.
So I guess we could start saying, I don't know how they were in the 80s, but Gretzky obviously with 99. And then you got Jagrs, Lemieux, and I don't know other guys, but I believe like the first bunch of years, it was 1 through 31, and that's it. You're not going over.
So you're saying like we could do like the 11th greatest player to wear the number 14 and be talking about a Hall of Famer and versus kind of
yes. Eventually, like at some of these numbers, there's probably 5 guys that wore it, and then you're out of numbers. So that's what I think is going on.
Makes sense. All right, continue, please.
All right, Tanner Pearson, his rookie card, 2013 Upper Deck, number 498, Young Guns. It's on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. PSA 10 pop is 15 with a gem rate of 79%. Last sale of this card was on October 16th of 2022 for $60 US via eBay, verified in Terapeak. All-time high sale on this card, Josh, $178.50 US on September 5th, 2021 via eBay and verified in Terapeak.
Somebody went hard after that, man.
Someone went after it. Obviously, that last sale in 2022 of 60, it seems, it's a low pop. So anytime this pops up, if any piercing people are out there, it's probably going to sell for a good, like that, mid to upper 2 digits. But
sure.
There you go. Tanner Pearson.
Okay, Troy, we just finished week 23 of the 2023-24 NHL season. We're going to be back for another captivating, thrilling, and shocking, maybe, edition of Who's Hot in the Struggle Bus.
All right.
Of course, where we take a look at players who are en fuego, as Stuart Scott, rest in peace, buddy, would say on SportsCenter when we were growing up, Troy. I remember him and Dan Patrick, and those were the days, man.
Keith Olbermann.
Sit and watch SportsCenter on loop.
Yep.
15 straight hours. Watch the same thing. Then we're going to talk about players who, have stunk it up the past few weeks and earned a ride on the Gongshow Struggle Bus. So we're going to get rolling with our picks this week and who's hot.
All right.
Troy, we're going to start with Wyatt Johnston, a 20-year-old Dallas Stars forward who has 7 goals, 3 assists for 10 points in his last 6 games played. In those 6 games, or he actually has 4 goals in 4 straight games, giving him 26 goals, 27 assists, 53 points in 69 games played this year. Last season, in his rookie year, he finished with 24 goals and 41 points. So he's got 13 games left, and now there's a pretty decent chance that Johnston can get to 30 goals on the season, which I don't know. I think is pretty impressive for a 20-year-old. Dallas is currently second in the Central Division and third in the Western Conference with 91 points. So they're firmly in the playoff spot too. So here you got a nice young star who's on kind of a goal scoring tear. His team is headed for the playoffs. A lot to think about maybe there from a hobby perspective. I found this too that I don't know, surprised me a little bit, but I think is Feather and Johnston's cap definitely. So Troy, this season, there's been 32 players that have played at least one NHL game that are 20 years old or younger. So not a huge percentage of the league is 20 or younger, which I guess makes sense. Johnston leads all of them in both goals and points.
Blasphemy. How could he lead Connor Bedard?
There you go.
I've been thinking so long and hard. I wanted to get that in quick, but there we go. Thank you, whoever sent.
Well, your guy Bedsy is second in goals with 20 and points with 51. So he's 2 points ahead of him.
Okay.
About a month ago, Troy, The Athletic profiled Johnston's recent ascension and importance to the Stars at such a young age. And there's a couple there's an excerpt I want to read from the article and then a quote from the Stars coach, Pete DeBoer. So here's from the article. Throughout the Stars organization, a common opinion that is shared is that one of the most impressive things about Johnston isn't just his ability, but his trajectory. From the moment he took the opening faceoff in Nashville to begin the 2022-23 season, he's consistently gotten better and added to his game. He was a reliable player to start the season, playing at 5-on-5 and on the power play. So, I mean, that's pretty good.
Yep.
That's definitely what you want to hear. And then here's Pete DeBoer talking about Wyatt Johnston. He's going to establish himself as an elite player in that upper echelon of guys, I have no doubt, over the next few years, if he's not already knocking on that door, DeBoer said. I think with every year and every month that passes by, you mature, you build a little more confidence, a little more swagger, you feel a little more comfortable. You feel like you belong in those situations and with those guys and playing head-to-head against those guys. He's always had a quiet confidence, but I think he's just scratching the surface of the player he's going to become. Now, I think like any coach is going to generally say something nice if asked about a player.
Yeah.
But that doesn't feel like platitudes. I mean, you're not going to go that far on the average fourth liner, right? So it seems like they have a lot of confidence in him. As of late, Johnston has been centering Dallas's third line with Jamie Benn and another promising Stars prospect, Logan Stankoven. Also been getting some power play time in the second unit. Man, Dallas is loaded with...
Yeah.
I mean, I would be super pumped if I was a Dallas fan with this state of my team. I just want to get rid of the marshmallow thrower. That's about it.
He's got to be... I mean, I was just looking up Suter's stuff here. Oh, I wanted to see how much ice time he's getting. So it's less than 20 minutes now. You know, that was his big thing in Minnesota.
Yeah.
29 minutes of ice time. Obviously he was good, but not mad.
Wyatt Johnston is a 2022-23 Young Guns. His PSA 10 is a pop 431, 35% gem rate. Last sold for 103 US on March 17th. Up 56% since March 1st. Well, when you have the most goals and points of any 20-year-old or younger player in the NHL, you're going to start to get some attention, I think.
Yeah, and was he an NHL Star of the Month?
Oh, he might have been.
I can't remember. I looked at it because of the next guy. I'm trying to look right now real quick. Let's see. No, he wasn't. What am I talking about?
You liar.
I am.
Right, but you do have the next player in Who's Hot, though.
I do. So, Josh, I'm going to put him up on screen for our viewers. And I'm going to call this, what do we call this? Gong Show Karma, or maybe just the life of being a goalie. But, Josh, we put Igor Shesterkin on the struggle bus on our February 5th show. At that time, when I think, Josh, you did the profile on him, and it was his previous 10 games from the day we put him on the struggle bus. On our February 5th show, Shesterkin was 4-5-1. With a 3.25 goals against average and a .863 save percentage. Definite struggle bus material, especially for a goalie as good as Shesterkin. Well, Josh, guess what has happened since then? He must listen to our show or something and got pretty ticked off because he has been an absolute rock star and is now on the Who's Hot list. So
you know what it is?
What is it?
It's the embarrassment of riding the struggle bus.
Yeah, you don't want to be on that thing.
It sends a message, Troy.
It does.
The hobby sees everything. And you got to perform, even if you're Shesterkin. Yep. Everybody loves you. You still got to play well. And he got the message. He took it like a man. And now look what happened.
Yeah, let's look what happened. Since February 5th, 2023, the date we added him to the struggle bus, Shesterkin has 9 wins, 2 losses, 1 overtime loss, with a 1.91 goals against average, 0.942 save percentage, and 3 shutouts in 12 games played. During the streak, he even had a span of 7 wins in a row.
Hey, Troy, so, I got to chime in. I have a special show announcement.
Yes.
Troy and I would like to announce that we will be selling spots on the struggle bus for all your favorite hobby stars now.
There you go.
For just 3 easy installments of $500 a piece. You can contact us on any social platform or our Discord to arrange payment information.
There you go. We'll put them on the struggle bus. Yeah, then they'll be awesome. So in addition, of all goalies since February 5th, 2024, with a minimum of 7 games played, Shesterkin is ranked first in goals against average, first in save percentage, first in shutouts, and tied for third in wins. Yeah, pretty good. And in fact, he was named the 3rd star of the month for February by the NHL. So there we go. He's definitely figured it out. So up until the month of February, I would say Shesterkin's season probably not up to his standards. It's not like he was the worst goalie in the world, but when it's Igor Shesterkin, it definitely felt like he was in kind of a funk. And like you had said on our February 5th show, when we talked about Shesterkin and putting him on the struggle bus, Shesterkin was quoted as saying, and you read this quote also, "I will look in the mirror a few times and say, what the bleep are you doing here?" So he obviously was aware of what was going on. He knew he was struggling. Yeah. And now he's not. Now he's Who's Hot.
Well, they've had like the perfect combo of riding the hot goalie, because Jonathan Quick kind of stayed vacant during that stretch, and now that Shesterkin's come around, it takes a lot of pressure off of Quick.
Yep. And it's funny. So it's funny you brought that up. I didn't actually put this in here, but when I was doing a bunch of research on this, so Quick, obviously, I think he made Who's Hot at one point for how well he was playing as kind of this backup role. But they asked Quick about Shesterkin and how his first, we'll call it 2/3 of the season to now. And Quick was like, I really didn't see any difference. It's just he's getting different results now. So to Jonathan Quick, he thought Shesterkin has always been playing well. It's just things weren't going his way. So sometimes that's, I guess, how it goes with goalies. So on the season, Shesterkin has 28 wins, 14 losses, 2 overtime losses, the 2.6 goals against and a .912 save percentage, and 3 shutouts. All right, Josh. Shesterkin is a 2019 Young Guns. PSA 10 pop is 431 with a 40% gem rate. We have to say this every time we talk about it. Remember, Shesterkin's Young Guns was an update in SP Authentic, as that is where they put players that didn't make it into Series 1 or 2 before Extended Series. Card last sold for $204 on March 8th, 2024. Now, back when Shesterkin was on the struggle bus, this card was selling for around $186. So I guess we've seen a 10% increase from then. So a nice little bump. But card is still down 18% from where it was selling in October of 2023 at the start of the NHL season.
Usually we kind of try to shy away from Young Guns as kind of like investee type cards.
Yeah.
Because of our fear of the print runs. These ones from SP Authentic, though, Troy, to me are a little bit more interesting. So if I wouldn't be as concerned by, because you'd have to imagine what's a pop, you say 431?
Yeah, 431.
If that had been like in Series 1, that'd be over 1,000.
Yeah.
What do you think? Something like that.
Sure. So it's got a 40% gem rate. I mean, you already got the built-in. It's obviously not as print. SP Authentic is not as printed as much as Series 1 or 2. And you got the gem rate. So yeah, I would not be worried about pop on this thing at all.
Okay, our final player added to Who's Hot for Week 23 in the NHL. Cale Makar, Troy, you ever hear of him?
I have, and he looks like he's having fun in this picture that you put up on YouTube.
Yeah, he plays defense for one of your favorite teams, Colorado Avalanche. We did have to go back to the Who's Hot Hot Tub for Makar too. This is what happens when you appear in a Google Images search in your swimming suit with no shirt on. You
Yeah.
go right into the Gongshow hot tub. Who, no matter what, AM34 is always in there chilling. Now, I just don't know why Austin Matthews left his hockey jersey on. Is he like ashamed of his upper body or something like
Maybe.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Body
know.
was it dysphoria?
Dysmorphia.
Dysmorphia. Yeah.
Yeah. So Makar gets the very coveted Who's Hot Hot Tub. The second time this year a player has been added to it. So very prestigious honor. Where do you think he ranks at with like his Calder, Norris, Stanley Cup trophies, Troy? It's gotta be pretty high. It's gotta be like above the Hobie Baker, wouldn't you think? That
Oh yeah, I would hope so. I don't know. Hobie Baker's pretty sweet, like just the best player in college hockey. But yeah, I'd probably Calder, Norris, NHL trophies probably better.
Who's hot tub?
There you go.
Well, in the past 6 games, the Wonder Kid defenseman has 4 goals, 6 assists for 10 points, which includes Troy's first NHL hat trick.
Oh wow,
his career. He scored 3 goals against the Red Wings on March 6th. You want to guess which defenseman has the most hat tricks in NHL history?
I'm gonna say Bobby Orr.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
it?
9. Yeah, that's pretty easy one, even for me.
This one is, I don't know how surprising this is, but it's not a lot. Only 22 NHL defensemen have ever accumulated more than 1 career hat trick.
I think that's pretty surprising.
Pretty rare feat for a blue liner to get a hat trick. On the season, the 25-year-old Makar now has 17 goals, 57 assists for 74 points in 63 games played. He's on pace, Troy, to finish the season with 21 goals and 90 points. If he got to 90 points, that would be a career high. He had 28 goals in Colorado's cup-winning season, 2021-22. For the season, though, Makar is tied with Roman Josi for first in the NHL for goals by a defenseman. And he's second to the Eldest Hughes, Quinn, for points by defenseman. Quinn Hughes has 77 points to Makar's 74. This is kind of crazy here. At the end of February, Makar became the Avalanche's all-time leading scorer for a defenseman, Troy.
Yeah.
And he assisted a Nathan McKinnon goal to score his 308th point, which was in his 293rd game with the team. That passed Tyson Barrie, who had scored 307 points for the Avs, but in 484 games. Now, is it Barrie or Barry? We had this issue before. Somebody told us, and then I forgot again.
You keep talking. I'm going to look up my pronunciation guide.
I want to say it's Barry, and then I just said Barry.
Yeah, here it is. Barrie. So it's Bair-Ree is the pronunciation. So
Barry.
Barry. Okay.
Yeah, Barry.
Yeah, Bear. Yeah, Barry. There we go. Yeah, I'm sure people are loving that we sit there, look at the pronunciation guide, and talk through the names.
What a gong show. Stupid show is. So Barry had 307 points in 484 games, and then Makar has 308 points in 293 games. So much more impressive.
Yeah.
So I think if we learned anything in this segment again, is that the Gong Show hot tub is very cool.
Yes.
We still suck at saying names, and Kale Makar's good.
Yeah.
Makar's a 2019 Young Guns PSA 10 pop, 2,487, 64% gem rate. Vessel for $450 in US dollars on March 15th. Up about 1% in the past 2 weeks, but down, Troy, down 17% in the past 3 months. Okay, another trivia question for you.
Okay.
Where do you think Makar's PSA 10 pop of 2,487 ranks all time for defensemen?
Of just one card?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rookie card with the highest pop.
I know I'm probably going to kick myself, but I'm going to say it's got to be 1, right? That seems a lot for a defense. I'm going to say 1.
It's not 1.
Dang it.
I think you're going to be like 50% surprised, and then because he's good. Yeah, you see, Mo Sider, 3,208.
Yeah, I should. You know what? Because that was right. So Mo,
that card was hotter than dog.
Yeah, I am kicking myself. I should have thought about that longer. Yeah, Mo makes sense.
And then Makar is second with 2,487 and nipping at his heels, Troy. Quinn Hughes, 2,400, and you just deleted it. 448, I believe.
No, there it is. It's on the next line, I think. Oh, no, it's not. Whatever.
I think it's 2,440.
2,400 something. We got, what, 99 options there? That could be it.
Well, we just heard the struggle bus pull up, Troy, and some might have say it pulled up the minute this show started recording, but the real struggle bus is here. Got another 2 players on it this week.
Yep.
And you got the first guy.
All right, I got the first guy. So here we go. And you can see right now from that picture, he's definitely our boy.
Amazing. Amazing.
This past month has not been kind to John Gibson. And if you're watching on YouTube, this was the perfect picture. This encompasses the struggle bus. And before we get into this, I'm going to point out, in all fairness, Gibson plays for the Ducks. The Ducks, the whole season could be on the struggle bus. So with that being said, let's look at what's going on with our boy, Johnny Gibson. Over the past month, so from February 17th through March 16th, when I did my research, Gibson has a record of 2 wins, 5 losses, 1 overtime loss, with a 5.06 goals against average, 0.851 save percentage, no shutouts in 8 games played. In fact, in those 8 games, here is the number of goals allowed in each game by Gibson to just get an idea of the struggle it's been. 5 goals, 3 goals, 6 goals, 2 goals, 4 goals, 6 goals, 6 goals, and another 6-goal outing. After 3 in a row, that's pretty depressing. But in those 8 games, he's only had 1 game where he allowed less than 3 goals in a game. And again, plays for the Ducks. So not all these goals are his fault, but at the end of the day, everyone looks at the goalie when the goals go in, like we are right now. And as a goalie coach, I try to tell everyone it's the goal is scored on the team, not the goalie, but no one ever believes me. All right.
Well, that included getting lit up the other day by our boy Bedsy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. There we go.
I'm so used to that. I'm not used to this thing. I got to remember to do it. All right. At the beginning of the season, and even during the season, there was a lot of talk about if Gibson would be traded. Started the season, he was actually super hot. I think he might have been on Who's Hot at the beginning of the season. In his first 11 starts, while his record was pretty pedestrian, he did have a .927 save percentage, which again added to his trade stock, and more pundits were wondering if he would get moved. However, with what happened over the last month of the season up until the trade deadline, I don't think Gibson did himself any favors with his trade stock. And again, he's stuck in Anaheim, I guess. He never got moved. On the season, 30-year-old Gibson is 13 wins, 23 losses, 2 overtime losses, with a 3.38 goals against average, 0.892 save percentage, no shutouts in 42 games played. So definitely not a good season. Not good numbers. But again, it's Anaheim.
Do you think we should start tracking how many times players are on Who's Hot in the struggle bus?
I probably should. It wouldn't be that hard to do, but
how many thousands of pages of notes do we have?
Yeah, it'd just be time consuming, but we should do it. I think at one point I might have started it, so we should do that. That'd be fun. Off-season thing, maybe. All right. Gibson is a 2013 Young Guns with a PSA 10 pop of 89 and a gem rate of 68%. Card does not sell that often. Last sale of this card was on February 28th of 2024 via eBay, verified in Terapeak for $67. Previous to that sale, verified sales on eBay were as follows: $37 US on November 9th of 23, $28 on October 8th of 23, and then $46 on August 9th of 23. I just found that interesting. Be aware of it. I don't know what's going on. The $67 one that I quoted as the most recent sale, that was a fixed price or a buy it now. So maybe that was the reason. The other 3 were auctions and someone just wanted it and paid the price. But again, this is the stuff you need to look at. It's obviously a low amount. We're in double-digit money. but it's one of those things just to be aware of when you do research. If you were thinking about buying a card and you see this trend, just be aware of it.
Okay, John Gibson definitely deserves his seat on the struggle bus. Joining him this week, Troy.
Oh, that's sad.
Your guy, Kitty Cat, Alex the Brinkcat.
What's going on?
Last 8 games, the 26-year-old Red Wings forward has just 1 point. Troy, that is 1 as in better than 0, but less than 2. Just in case you're wondering. He has yet to score a goal in the month of March as well.
So is that a Halfkovsky?
Yeah.
1 point. Yeah.
But we retired that. We can't say anymore.
Oh, we can't say anymore. Okay. Well, we'll have to find. Maybe we'll give it a Debrincat name. Yeah. A half cat.
No goals in March, though. I guess beware the Ides of March.
Yeah, there you go.
That's like the first thing that hit my mind. And then I'm like, what does it mean?
I have no clue what it means. Now I'm going to look it up while you type.
No, I did. You don't have to. I did.
There we go.
I did a very scientific research project, Troy, on this.
Okay.
By Googling beware the Ides of March. So here's what I learned. It's a Julius Caesar thing. So it goes way back. With Latin origins, the Ides of March has derived its meaning from Idus Martius, referring to the middle of the month of March and signaling the full moon of the sky.
All right.
So I think it was like a superstitious thing, like beware the full moon. So like that's what Julius Caesar quoted.
Okay.
Yeah. So really no relevance to this at all. But, okay, back to Kitty Cat. On the season, Troy is sitting at 23 goals, 31 assists for 54 points and 64 games played. Eerily similar to his last year in Ottawa, where he finished with 27 goals, 39 assists for 66 points and 82 games played. Pretty much on pace there. He does have 2 prior NHL seasons where he scored 40 or more goals, both with Chicago in 2018-19 and then in 2021-22. So I found an interesting article, Troy, from the Hockey News that addressed DeBrincat's scoring woes. And according to their analysis, the biggest issue is he keeps missing the net.
Hey, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. He has the most shots of any player in the Red Wings. You know hockey analytics better than I do, and so I'm kind of curious what your reaction to this will be. He's missed the net on 33% of unblocked shots.
Yeah, I don't even know what the average is, but that seems pretty high where a third of your shots are missing. But I was going to say, well, it sounds like every youth hockey player I've seen seems like they miss the net on 33% of their shots.
Well, I was even watching the Wild overtime last night. They went to a shootout with who?
St. Louis.
Oh, St. Louis, yeah. And I think like 4 players between 2 teams missed the net on the shootout.
Yeah, part of it's goalies. I mean, part of it probably is goalies are bigger. Players think they're more accurate, or they are more accurate. Probably
they're trying to be too cute. Probably,
yeah, trying to be too cute. My favorite was it? Who was it that just skated in, wound up, and did the slap shot penalty shot? This was a couple games ago. Was it Giroux or something? I can't remember who it was, but that's my favorite when they do that.
So again, even on unblocked shots, he's missing 33% of the time. That's an aggregate. He's missed the net on almost 90 shots this year. While we're at it, though, we might as well just throw the entire Red Wings team on the struggle bus, Troy, because they are hanging on to their playoff lives by a thread right now. Currently own the second wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference, but they're just 3-7 in their past 10 games. Their 4-1 win, I think the day or two ago, over another disappointing team, Buffalo, snapped a 7-game losing streak. And I found this fascinating, too. Kind of sad. It's been 8 years since the Red Wings have made the playoffs. I mean, they were like the dominant team for a decade, and they can't even get a sniff of the postseason right now.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. And 2 things. One, I thought DeBrincat was supposed to be happy now. He's in Detroit. Family's around. Yeah. I actually think this or that spreadsheet you're talking about would be great. I think he did make Who's Hot earlier in the season because I remember talking about how happy he was, how he's playing well. And then also, since Detroit has not made the playoffs in the last 10 seasons, can we just finally say that War Road is now Hockey Town USA? Give it. War Road was Hockey Town USA before Detroit, but Detroit did the smart thing and copyrighted it. So now they get to say they're Hockey Town USA. Do we give it back to War Road, even though
has War Road won?
Huh? They just won state titles by importing players and giving them jobs at Marvin Windows.
Windows.
Oh, wait, we won't go there. I'm sorry about that.
No. Alex DeBrincat is a 2017-18 Young Guns PSA 10 pop 551, 42% gem rate. Last sold for $72 on March 11th. In the very short, Troy, I'm going to be a hockey card investor period where you bought a Kirill Kaprizov Young Guns for
And a DeBrincat.
$700. What you paid almost $300 for it at one point, didn't you? Or two something?
For DeBrincat? No, I don't remember paying that much. I'd have to look it back up. I don't even know. I could probably find it while you're talking.
So for $72 on March 11th. It's down 20% in the past 2 weeks and down 23% in the past 3 months.
Yeah, I just laughed when you saw it. So truth in reporting, I do own this DeBrincat card. Pretty pretty sad.
We're going to move on to make a mention for Gongshow partner sponsor Slab Sharks. Very grateful for their support of our show. The current Slab Sharks weekly eBay auction is live, ends this upcoming Thursday night. It's been one of the premier places to find amazing hockey cards for sale for a long time, but has really jumped up a level, Troy, since the release of Series 2 and Bedard-a-Palooza.
I'm getting better.
All right, we're just going to do it once because this is going to be like the thing we're going to be mentioning.
Yeah,
there were insane Bedard rookies last week, so
yes.
I was excited this week to take a look and see what else is available, and it doesn't disappoint as well. I did pick out a few that stood out to me yesterday, and so we're going to roll through those really quickly. Well, they're running it back, Troy. Another Bedsy Young Guns Outburst Red out of 25. So this is the second week in a row.
Wow.
Now, in your mind, I think the last one sold for like $17,900 US.
Yeah.
Is the one in week 2, does it sell for more or less in your mind?
I'm going to say just a little bit less. Close, but less is what I'm going to say.
Maybe the kind of frenzy is fading a tiny bit, just naturally. Yeah. This next one is a very, very sweet card.
Yeah,
a 2015 The Cup Mario Lemieux limited logos out of 10. Looks like a 4-color patch, I think, because they're
1, 2, 3. Man, that looks like 5, but I'm
I'm
guessing this might be the same, but it just could be look different because of the screen or eye trick or something. But
this is a card I would be giddy to own.
Yes, this would never leave my collection ever.
Mm-hmm. Here's kind of a big one, Troy. A 2016 Upper Deck Austin Matthews Young Guns Silver Foil.
Mm-hmm.
BGS 9.5. I would actually like to see this card in person.
Yeah.
And see like how silvery it actually is. But much more rare than your run-of-the-mill Young Guns. So kind of a big one there. And I think, remember, these are made by, at least now, I don't know what the formula was in 2016, but it takes 5 regular Young Gun base cards to make one silver foil.
Yeah.
So. Then the next one, Troy, 2021 The Cup Cole Caulfield The Show Auto 101 PSA Authentic Auto 10.
I didn't even know about these cards. Those first time I've seen
it. We were talking about the Cup. Was it last mailbag and like the Tiger Woods cards and stuff like that? I think that they are The Show. I think that's the set name, I believe.
Well, this card, man, I think this card looks very cool.
Yeah, it's a 101 rookie auto. Very cool card. I think Caulfield has normal mouth in it, which is pretty impressive.
Kind of, but it's open. Here's what this 101 being a little off center kind of bugs me, but I don't know what you do. If you put in the center, it will look weird. And then but man, this is a very cool card.
Looks like an acetate card too, doesn't it? I'm not sure if they are or not. But. And then the last one, Troy, is the 2013 The Cup Pavel Bure All-Star signature patches out of 25 patch auto. Very, very much like this card too. Got the old school All-Star jersey.
Yeah.
Okay patch. Yeah, I would take that in a heartbeat. Well, another thing I want to share, Troy, is a graphic that Slab Sharks posted, I think, to their Instagram after a couple big cards sold last week. The Bedard Young Guns Outburst Red, and then the Young Guns exclusives out of 100. Do you got that one?
No, you didn't have a picture for that.
I
totally missed it. Is it on Instagram?
Yeah. Go look up Slab Sharks Instagram real quick.
I'll find it.
Maybe I missed
it. No, maybe I missed it.
No, I didn't bold picture in the outline. So it was like camouflage.
Is this the sold and confirmed paid on the Bedard?
Yeah. Okay. Well, what I want to point out once you get that on the screen for YouTube, and then we'll just talk through to the listening audience, is it really illustrates the impact to collectors of the 98% payout rate that we've been promoting for them
Oh
on
my
all
god,
Connor Bedard cards
this
that
is
runs through June.
this is ridiculous. It's making me log in, and I don't know my login. So hold on, I'm gonna do a little. We're
Okay.
gonna do a Gong Show method of doing this. So hold on, keep
All
talking.
right. Well, the two cards in question that sold were the Outburst Red out of 25. It sold for 24,200 Canadian, which is 17,901 US. So the seller got, remember, 24,200. There you go.
There you go.
The seller got 23,716 Canadian, or about 17,543 US. So they paid 2% in fees. Had this person or persons sold the card themselves on eBay for the same amount, and assuming that they would have paid something like 13%, right? That's sort of
Yeah,
the rule of thumb we use for total fees. It would have cost you in this scenario in Canadian dollars like 3,146 Canadian dollars, or 2,327 US dollars. With Slab Sharks, they paid 484 Canadian fees and 358 US dollars in fees.
yeah.
Now, Troy, this is not a math show, and it's definitely not a show with top quality production, as we're finding out.
My arms are getting tired.
But I'm pretty sure that the Slab Sharks was a much, much better deal.
Yeah.
Okay, you can.
All right. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's all right. My bad. It's not though just the 98% payout rates on all Connor Bedard cards that make Slab Sharks awesome. They also do all the work, like everything, Troy. They take professional quality photos, they list your cards, answer buyer questions, hunt down payment, ship cards to both Canada and the US, and then, of course, handle any post sale issues. And that's not only on Connor Bedard cards that they do that, but on every single one. So check out slabsharks.com for complete consignment information, including payout rates, and to get started consigning your cards with them today. Happy news!
Happy news.
We got another new sort of segment that we're going to be doing for a while. Well, we'll do it until we get bored of it. But Troy, get ready with the dinger because what?
Oh, hold on. There it is. You did have it in there. I was the one that blew it. So I'm going to put it up here just in case anyone listening on YouTube saw that and they couldn't read my phone on the screen.
Is that crazy? Like, once, I mean, you say 2%, yeah, that's great. But when you actually see the numbers,
yeah,
and the dollar value, it's crazy.
Yep. So there, that was Troy Bad. All right, here we go. Hobby news.
Okay, back to hobby news.
Hobby news.
And our debut, Troy, of the Road to Infinity. We're going to be tracking the Connor Bedard PSA 10 Young Guns pop base pop count.
There you go.
Right. Every show we'll be checking in, do very briefly. And, you know, we want to keep track how many of these base cards and how quickly the PSA 10 pop count climbs. Yep. So today is going to be kind of like our baseline. It's our first attempt at it. But I did have the number from our last show. So right now, Troy, we're sitting at 86 Young Guns base PSA 10s. And so we're now 11 days after the set has come out. Since our last show, that's an increase in pop of 41.
There we go. So over 100, is that over 100%? No, a little bit less than 100%.
Yeah. I think the gem rate's like 55% right now. So higher than it has been. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Not sure what that means. But so after 11 days, a PSA 10 pop count of 86, given everything that the context of everything that's gone down, does that surprise you how high it is, or is it more or less what you would have expected?
I don't know if it's probably what I expected. I was thinking about that because all the people that where is PSA located? Is it California? Or
I think it's New Jersey and California, but I'm not sure. I think it's Santa Ana, California. I know for sure. I'm not sure where all their grading gets done.
Yeah, because we made the joke, like, I feel there's going to be someone with a case of Series 2 on release day sitting in front of their office or whatever, ripping it and then doing the walk-in service. But when you think about all these cards, a lot of them are Canada, probably more of them in Canada. So that's probably part of the reasoning. I
saw an Instagram post of a group submitter that did an expedited, and they had like a table with, it had to have been like 80 Bedard slabs on it. Now they weren't all PSA 10s, of course, but so, you know, maybe I'm sure that some people had thought ahead and really planned to almost instantly sub these.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun to watch what this does.
I wonder what the upcharge was, like what it cost to get them back this fast. Like,
yeah, no kidding. Especially with
did you even make any money? I don't know. All right, we'll be checking in each episode as we continue to track the road to infinity. We're going to move on, though, Troy. It's a very exciting night the other night planned in Pittsburgh to continue the celebration of Jaromir Jagr. Remember last month, they retired his number 68. Well, you might have been really had your ticket in hand and very excited to get your Jaromir Jagr bobblehead on bobblehead night. But Troy, we've done some unsolved hobby mysteries here on the Gong Show where there's a real true crime event that happened because the entire shipment of Jagr bobbleheads was stolen. Therefore, canceling Jagr bobblehead night, causing the Penguins to scramble, come up with a way. They gave fans a one-time voucher that has a barcode that will, once they're replaced and produced again, to get them at a later date. So now redemptions, Troy, have hit the bobblehead market.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
You got your redemption for your Jaromir Jagr bobblehead.
Are we going to see those for sale? We'll probably see them for sale on eBay. I didn't look if there were any.
Well, I put that. I'll just say it now.
Oh, sorry. I didn't see that.
Let's all be like good people and not buy those. Let's not reward criminals, please.
Well, it's funny.
And I don't know if you want to buy one because the Penguins did contact state and federal authorities to help track down where the stolen shipment went. Funny, though, they didn't contact the Gong Show Scooby-Doo crew, Troy. Still has yet to be activated.
I have to believe whoever stole these, they didn't know what they were stealing, right? Why would you steal 18,000 Jagr bobbleheads? They're going to be.
Well, I might have a lead for you, Troy. I might have a lead because apparently the shipment was stolen in California. Which in my mind makes Gong Show friend and patron California Dave could be a key suspect, Troy.
Yeah, there you go. Why would you want these? That's a crazy thing. I just keep thinking of Fast and the Furious, like driving up on these semis, jumping on the hoods of the car, grabbing the boxes on
a bunch of heads bobbling.
Yeah.
Well, even Jaromir Jagr joined in.
Yeah, this is great.
And commented on the investigation. This is what he posted to social media, I think Twitter. He said, "Did anybody see my bobbleheads? 18,000 of them. Actually, I got one. So I'm missing 17,999. Let me know. Thank you."
Yeah, he had a picture of him in his car with it in the passenger seat.
And the bobblehead's kind of doing his famous salute pose. Right? So
yeah.
It actually is a pretty good looking bobblehead. I like it. I think I prefer a black helmet, but I'm just being picky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, don't buy one of these on eBay. Let's not reward bad people. Troy, you got a hobby news story. I don't even know what this
just
is.
Because this is so great. This is so great. And I'm going to give credit. I was in a stream last night of Breaker's stream, Landlord Breaks. I jumped in and we talked about this. He showed it. And if you're watching on YouTube, we had this picture from Adam CAIRNS Atomic Photo. And we have the famous Pinto Bean photo. We have Shane Pinto.
I get it.
And Jake Bean, right? I think it's Jake Bean. Apologies if it's not. But now we have the Pinto Bean photo. But what I want to call out and what we were talking about in the stream yesterday is that this has to be a card. Upper Deck, you need to make it happen. I don't know how you make it happen, but get them to autograph it. We need the Pinto Bean card. This might be perfect. This would have been perfect for Parker's Champions because they were having all the crazy stuff in there, kind of like Allen and Ginter does. But yes, Upper Deck, make the Pinto Bean card happen. That's all I wanted to say.
How much you want to bet that they do that?
I will bet 0 because they will not do that. They don't take our suggestions.
You think Pinto will take that bet?
I don't know. Probably not.
Probably get suspended again. Huh?
Oh man, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, that was like that
too soon, man.
Flying over your head all over the place, dude. All right, we got one more hobby news story. Very emotional, very touching. Minnesota North Stars, and I suppose Dallas Stars legend Mike Modano was honored just yesterday on Saturday with a statue placed outside the American Airlines Center.
Nice.
Statue features Modano's famous jersey flap. What's a jersey flap? Is it just like his jersey flap?
I think it's the back, right? If you look here, I'll zoom in for our YouTube people. See on the back there, he's skating fast and it's flapping up. He's not. I don't know if he tucked it in the back like Gretzky, and this is kind of what happened. But
Well, the statue is sculpted by artists Omri Amrani and Sean Bell. His statue joins that of Mavericks legends Dirk Nowitzki at American Airlines. So there's 2 statues at American Airlines, one of
Okay.
Mavericks great Nowitzki and then one of Mike Modano. Modano played 20 seasons Troy with the Stars franchise. His favorite 4 were, of course, in Minnesota. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what he thinks. And then 16 as a hostage in Dallas after he's abducted from Minnesota with the rest of the team by evil supervillain Norm Green.
Yep.
But at least we're not bitter, right? Modano owns franchise records for goals of 561 and points for 1,374. I don't know if you saw this, Troy, though, but there was an error on the statue.
Oh,
Really unfortunate. You know, they couldn't delay the date. I'm not sure. Maybe the hockey, like the sculptors, weren't the biggest hockey fans or anything, but they did have kind of a big goof up. We were sent the statue to approve because they hear what we think, and we noticed it. We fixed it. We're part of the. You know what they say, Troy? Be part of the solution, not part
not
of
the
the problem.
problem.
And we helped them fix it. Everything's in tip-top shape now, and I can unveil the new version of the statue.
There it is. Here, I'll zoom in. YouTube viewers, you can see now he has the proper jersey, the North Star jersey. You can see how well it flows and fits into that picture.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree, Josh. And I want to say something about this statue. Now, the statue looks good, right? I mean, looks good. I'm guessing that kind of looks like Modano, and I'm glad it's kind of resembles him because anytime I can bring this up, Josh, I will. See this guy, Cristiano Ronaldo, soccer player. Do you remember when this was the statue that he got presented with at like Real Madrid in their like museum? If you're watching on YouTube, this is Ronaldo, good-looking man right there. This is what the statue was, and it was so embarrassing. I think they actually had to redo it. And then this isn't really a statue, but I always love this one. Remember this when this Franciscan like painting of Jesus and some lady or some, I don't know if it was a nun or what, tried to fix it. And this is what happened. Anytime I can bring these up, I will because they're hilarious. But
well, have you seen the famous skit prank that James Corden did on David Beckham?
Yes, where they did a statue and it was
and he made it purposely horrible and they unveiled it to David and you know because
he took it though. He was just like, oh,
he'd be horrified by the whole thing. Okay, can you zoom in on the statue though?
Yes.
And I just say this, it's not a bad statue, but
no,
for everyone that complains like about like the Marvel hockey cards, that does not look anything like Mike Modano. First of all, his gloves are bigger than his face. And head, right? And Modano was not, and he's like hulking. He's got like he's like got shoulders like The Rock.
Artist interpretation, I'm guessing.
And Modano was a small dude.
Yeah.
So, but a huge honor, of course.
Yep.
And yeah. Mike Modano's most notable rookie, Troy, would be the 1990 O-Pee-Chee Premier, PSA 10 pop, 1,555, 43% gem rate. Last sold for $31 on March 14th. It's down 1% in the past 2 weeks, down 2% in the past 3 months. Feels criminally cheap.
Yep.
I was gonna include this in our like burning question segment, but I decided not to. Part of me wonders if so we're just gonna do like an honorable burning questions question here.
Are you moving into a segment right now? Should I put the thing?
No.
Okay.
No. I'm like in between. It's a tweener.
Right.
Do you think the junk wax era will ever be able to shake whatever the perception is? Because like we just looked at who was like Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes.
Yes.
Right. This is it's not like a 90% gem rate. It's a 43% gem rate. There's 1,000 less of these than Quinn Hughes in PSA 10.
Yeah.
And it's worth $31.
I think that perception is just going to follow it forever. I don't know how you get out of it. Because what everyone will say, well, in boxes, there's millions of these sitting around. There's still
in everybody's basement. There's 25,000.
Well, it's still crazy. Go to the Toronto Expo and how many sealed wax boxes of this do you see? They're still all over the place. It's like 7980 O-Pee-Chee. We literally just found a box, and that was the last one we think that's sealed. But these junk wax eras, they still find all these boxes everywhere. And
I understand that, but every time we look up like rookie, I'm always surprised how low the pop count is.
Yeah.
So I guess the argument must be nobody thinks it's worth grading, and that's why the pop count is so small. I don't know, but
True. I mean, it's hard to get out of that rut where if it's worth $31, is it even worth grading? I mean, how do you?
no,
Yeah,
just buy it graded.
yeah.
To me, this is a cool card. Like
Mm-hmm.
it looks amazing. And do you own one of these?
I don't think so. I know I have Modano cards, but I don't think I have this one.
Yeah, and maybe I don't know. It has something to do with like all the. But so I was just gonna say maybe it's all the rookie versions, but
Mm-hmm.
there's like 1,000 rookie cards of every rookie today. Because remember, he had like the 2 upper deck ones for no
Yeah.
like he actually had like 2 upper deck base cards or something like that, or maybe one was a Young Guns and one was not, or it had to be like a difference between like high series and low series or something like that. But we don't need to get into it. I just kind of am always shocked how low, because again, you think, well, Junk Wax era, the pop counts must be a million, and they're really like the Joe Sakic tops is like pop like 300
Mm-hmm.
from 1989.
Yep.
Okay, well, that was a segue. We just had to warm people up, Troy, for 7 burning hobby questions.
All right.
Here's how I kind of thought of this one. By the nature of how we do our show, a lot of times we're in the weeds, right? We like to get into the nitty gritty, look at the details, do a lot of research, pull out those little nuggets of data. But with all the Bedardsy stuff happening, there's been a fair amount of kind of big picture type conversation, hearing lots of comments about whether it's like excited about all the exposure the hobby's getting or worried about its future now. And it just kind of got me thinking, well, maybe it's a good point of the season because typically too we cover most of the big picture stuff in the off season. Let's take one, a few minutes during the season and try to get a little bit big picture and think about, well, how this season has unfolded, where we're at today, really kind of on the doorstep of the playoffs, and what are some of the burning questions right now that are facing the hobby. I want to say right off the bat too, Troy, only 3 of the 7 questions are Bedard related.
Nice.
And we know this isn't a math show, of course, but that is less than half. So I think we might actually get nominated for an award or something
Nice.
because that shows incredible restraint at this point for any hockey hobby content creator to not go, all Bedard all the time. But we're gonna get our Bedardsies out of the way.
Yeah.
So those are the first 3 ones. Okay, so here's question 1: is there any way at this point for Bedard to live up to or justify the hype, chase, and card values, or is a Bedard bubble inevitable? So I have a couple thoughts, then I want to get your.
Okay.
We're almost out of superlatives to use at this point to describe the fervor, aggression, balls to the walls mentality of the hockey hobby and chasing Bedard really for the past 2 years, but it's kind of hit a whole new level,
Mm-hmm.
right? In the past couple weeks since Series 2 came out. At this point, so let's say that you're one of these people that bought one of like his Young Guns clear cut and paid more for it than anyone's ever paid for a Young Guns clear cut in the history of that card. Like even Austin Matthews, nobody's paid that much.
Mm-hmm.
What does this kid need to do to justify the hype and all the money that's being spent? I think as long as he plays okay and even gets marginally better, Troy, the hobby's going to like keep that hype train rolling for definitely, I think, through next season. But at some point, he's going to have to like produce on a you would think a crazy level to justify all of this, like multiple Rocket Richards, Hart trophies, Stanley Cups, and and it can't be. We'll talk about McDavid in a minute. McDavid's in year 9. This is
Mm-hmm.
the hobby's like valuing this guy right now as if this is going to happen in like 2 years. I feel, but I don't know. What do you think? Is there any way he can live up to this, or do you fear a bubble might be coming?
I believe a bubble might be coming. Can he live up to it? Sure. If he wins 3 Hart trophies in a row, so next season and the next 2 after that, leads the league in scoring and throws a Stanley Cup in there, sure, he can keep it up. But I don't see it happening. Plus,
well, wait, can I comment on that? Because I a point that it's one thing to say a 21-year-old, a 22-year-old will win a Hart trophy, but he's also like that's that one person wins that award, and he'll be competing against Nathan McKinnon,
yeah,
Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews. So to do that, he has to be better than all those guys.
Yeah. Plus, we're going to still run into the whole problem. What happens when these pops explode? what happens to those card values? Are they going to follow the natural trajectory of coming down if he plays? He's playing well. Don't get me wrong. He's showing things that look like he could be a superstar, but it would have to happen, like you said, pretty quickly to justify the insane prices we're seeing now. So I do think a bubble is coming. I don't know how big a bubble it will be, but I guess we'll see.
Okay, next question. How will the Bedard effect shape or change the hockey market long term? Good and or bad? A lot of chatter out there right now about this topic. I think many people think the box prices and secondary market sales bonanza could have negative effects on the hobby.
Yep.
There's also, I think, definitely a bunch of positives too. And to me, it's like, I don't know if anyone knows, but it's hard for me to legislate what side is going to win in that tug of war there. So before I get into my thoughts and your thoughts, over the weekend, we asked people on Instagram what their thoughts were on this, and we got a couple responses I want to share. I think the first one, Troy, is a fear that many people have. So this is basically the question we asked them, and it's a lot of money is going to get taken out of the hockey ecosystem. Right. So I think what they mean there is if somebody spends $17,000 on a Bedard Outburst Red and he doesn't live up to expectations, 3 years from now, that's worth $2,000.
Or if all they had was $17,000 to spend and they did the one card shot.
Yeah. Is that in that hypothetical situation, is that $15,000 that's now out of the hobby? I don't know. Here's my thoughts on kind of the Bedard prospecting thing, and you tell me if you think I'm wrong. I think the issue is the scale, and not every year there's people. How much money was spent on Laffy and lost, and there's money for Bedard, right?
Yep.
Now Bedard is on a whole different scale than Laffy, so I guess if this is a really big fear of yours, you're thinking that the scale is so great that the hobby can't. Oh, what's the word? Withstand if these values come down, and won't be able to recover from that. I don't know. I just think that as long as there's a transcendent talent like that people will keep coming back and they'll keep it because the chase is addicting.
The chase.
Do you have a fear of this?
I'm saying this one kind of leads to the whole FOMO people, and that maybe some people are getting into this not realizing what they're really getting into and maybe new to hockey. So that's like a good and bad thing. I know you're going to talk about that probably in a little bit, but that's kind of where we had a really good response on this and a good conversation and in our Instagram messages, and with a lot of good points made by the user. And that's one of the things too, is this fear of missing out and what's going on with that, and how are people spending their money, and do they actually realize what they're spending on, and trends in hockey in general. So that's kind of where I look at this too, with money being taken out of the ecosystem.
Our next response was upper deck quality and value drop on new product. I don't exactly understand what that means, but this part I thought was interesting, that they think that vintage hockey could rise as a result. Overall market will be down post hype. So if this would maybe push people to safer, more, bigger cards, because Wayne Gretzky can't play any more bad games.
Yep.
Can't have any more good games either. But you're only really risk with the vintage players that there's a what's this? O.J. Simpson kind of.
Yeah, like a criminal thing.
Mm-hmm. Do you see this having? I don't know. To me, the modern and vintage card market seems so disjointed to me.
Or I was thinking about this one where I could see it helping the vintage, is if kind of what we said before, bringing in new collectors. And after they're looking at Bedard, now what else is there? And maybe they start doing research, and now they look at the vintage side and could bring more people in that way.
Well, think about it. Like, some of the money being spent on a base Young Guns could get you, I think there's probably like an Yzerman O-Pee-Chee rookie PSA 10 that has a really, really low pop. Some like 100, something like that. Okay, the third response is kind of something we've already mentioned, but that short window, right? And they said in a couple years, either he's a real deal or a bust. And I think like the most interesting part of that is, well, what happens if he's a bust? I don't. It's again, it's not like his stats are like overwhelming or they're not like fantastic, but you watch him play and there's nothing about him that feels like a bust.
Yeah.
But I suppose you could use the word injured too, right? Because
Well,
that's probably more likely than bust.
yeah, and he's tiny, so he's got that going against him. He's not big, he's not physical. He's on a terrible team, and he doesn't have the greatest supporting cast, and he's still doing okay. You see the individual skill. You can't watch him and not understand or see the individual skill he has, but that only gets you so far. Now all the other pieces got to come together.
Yeah. And then the last response from you guys, the listeners and watchers, that I thought this was a very kind of zen take. And so I really love this. It's some will stay, some will go. The more we chase, the more it grows, the collection that is, right?
Nice.
So there's a very
I like that.
I like that too.
Is that a haiku? Is that a haiku? What's the haiku?
Feels like long for haiku, but
yeah.
I don't remember that. High school's a long time ago, Troy.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I'm going to give my kind of takes on the positive and negatives, and we'll get your input, Troy.
Okay.
So I think there are a lot of positives, and I haven't heard a lot of that. I think more people are negative right now than positive, but the interest in hockey cards right now is more so than ever.
Yeah.
And for a lot of reasons. The NHL has actually marketed this kid correctly for once. So I was on the phone 2 days ago with my brother who lives in northern Minnesota. My nephew, Gino, is 9 years old, plays hockey, just started, had his first AAA practice. And so like they do at a lot of youth hockey, the first practice, they kind of get the boys in a circle and the coaches introduce themselves and then they want the boys to meet each other. And one of the questions that they had one of the things that they had each boy say was who their favorite hockey player is. My brother said 80% of them said Connor Bedard.
Yeah.
And when we're in Minnesota, he's like, two people said Kaprizov, one person said Brock Faber, and maybe another kid or two said Connor McDavid. But to me, that's just really indicative of an effective marketing campaign around this kid. Is that he's being promoted heavily here in the U.S. and that's really important, and it's exposing the game and the hobby to new people, right? Because it's not just the hobby that's going crazy; it's really the whole hockey world. And then, but getting back to the hobby, I don't know if you've seen this. I've seen probably 3 or 4 videos of really good hobby content creators that have no clue, and like they'll say like on their video, "This is the first hockey box I've ever opened."
I was gonna bring that up. That was one of my points. I was like, "Oh, I saw you had it," but
yeah. Well, you can comment on it too. It's hilarious to watch it and sad. It's hilarious because like they, to see him like not having any clue who these players are, not being able to pronounce their names. It's sad because they have the excuse that they can't pronounce players' names. We don't.
We don't.
Right. And so, but I don't know. Just like on the positives, to me, that it's the exposure for the hobby is off the charts right now. And then the negatives, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. It's what are the downstream effects of these higher box prices and the values on the secondary market. It's created a lot of sticker shock, especially for long-term hobbyists. If he doesn't pan out, going back to our first kind of commenter there a minute ago, does a pool of money disappear from the hobby? Does it become a huge cautionary tale for not spending top dollars on hockey cards? I don't know. I actually feel, believe it or not, as much as it sucks personally that we're kind of, when we said this last episode, like we're out of series 2.
Yeah.
I still think it's been a net positive for the hobby, but give me your whole thoughts on this.
Well, I think it's a positive from what you kind of said, bringing people into the hobby, bringing people that never looked at hockey before, like these content creators, they're now ripping hockey, but also that also has the unfortunate thing of probably driving prices up because they're going to be buying cases as well, all these boxes. So to me, I think it is a net positive. I still worry a little bit on, and I brought it up a little bit more, even though most of these people are adults, that some people are getting, that people might not be able to control themselves with the whole FOMO and might get in trouble putting so much money into Bedard. I don't have any examples, like you said, that's one of the reasons. I mean, box prices and what we're seeing that we've said we're out on series 2. I'm not interested right now. I'll go after other stuff that I think is cheaper. But it's kind of funny too, just anecdotally on Whatnot, I've seen a ton more hockey breaks. That's what we kind of got into too with the new people coming in. There's like a lot more. I remember the page would be like maybe 10. Now it's just like I got to keep scrolling if I want to see hockey breaks. But yeah, and I think it's a net positive, but boy, there's some negatives that the negatives will take a lot longer, I think, to play out than what we see right now as being positives. So that's always this like balancing act too. We got to watch.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're gonna move on, and the last kind of Bedard related question here. To me, this is a really interesting one. I don't maybe just to me, but do you have to put Bedard at this point in that circle of hobby elite players?
Yes.
Not hockey elite, but hobby elite.
Yes.
So we've kind of talked about McDavid, Crosby, Ovechkin, and Matthews, and to say this kid has a grip on the hockey market feels like the understatement of a century. We've seen unprecedented sales, of course, for his young gun base and variations since the Series 2 release. We did a post on Saturday to kind of illustrates this, where month to date, so through the first half of March, 7,227 Connor Bedard cards sold in the secondary market. And we knew there's going to be a lot of sales, right? And that's not a surprise with Series 2 coming out. But what did surprise me a little bit is if you look at in the same time period, the total combined cards sold for Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, Alexander Ovechkin, and Austin Matthews, it's 7,186. So less cards for all four combined have sold than Connor Bedard cards.
Yeah, because all those people moved away and went into Bedard. A lot of people that would buy them are now buying Bedard.
And we'll see how it shakes out at the end of the month. That's one of the things I'm kind of interested in looking at, because fortunately we've tracked this for a very long time.
Yeah.
To see if it's where these Bedard sales are coming from. Are people buying other players less, or are more people putting more money into the hobby for Bedard? But yeah, it seems like you have to put him in that hobby elite.
Yes.
Which is crazy for a kid that's played 50 games.
I was to say, could we have counted him in the hobby elite before he even showed up? I mean, dang,
maybe
his Canada cards were sold like crazy.
He was in the top 10 for cards sold last year, and there were barely any NHL cards.
Yeah.
So you agree with that he would be in the hobby elite?
Definitely hobby elite, hockey not elite, but getting there.
Hockey rookie who's having a good year.
Yeah, hockey rookie has to live up to the hype.
Okay. Well, okay. So now we're done with the Bedard stuff. The next question is kind of related though to the hobby elite conversation, and I think about this a lot. And my question is the hobby market for vets too all or nothing? And what I mean is, like, where's the middle tier? So it feels like that you have this clear distinction between the McDavid, Crosby, Ovechkin, Matthews, and now I guess Bedard, right? And then from there, there's like this kind of small group of like middle tier guys like McKinnon, McCarr, Jack Hughes. But then beyond that, it's like then there's like a larger group of like sort of relevant guys, I would call them, like Kaprizov and Caulfield and Marner, Nylander, Patrick Kane, Panarin, Stamkos, Kucherov, Kachucks, Pasta, right? And so on and so forth. And just at times, Troy, it's like the list of it and getting out of the prospects, and this is more like probably like a vets kind of, the list of like bankable vets seems really small. Like these are guys that that there's always going to be a strong chase for. And you can also make the same argument in vintage, right? That the vintage market gets pretty small for bankable guys too. And my question around this, I guess for you is, do you ever see this changing? Or do you just think the best of the best are always going to get the most attention and the most chase, and kind of the middling guys are, it'll be more niche?
I think the best of the best will always get the most attention. However, I'm hoping as hockey grows and we bring more people into the hobby, that's at some point someone's got to look at like Stamkos or Kucherov, like how good these guys are. Now, maybe it has a function of those two where they play Tampa Bay. But man, I do think the best will always get the most attention and chase, but there's a whole bunch of good guys in that middle tier that are superstars. And I'm hoping bringing more people in and getting more exposure will help with that. Maybe not, but it seems from past history right now, it's the top guys get the most attention, and we just kind of move on. And if you're a fan of those middle guys, you're loving life because cards aren't that crazy expensive.
And even guys like Pasternak, like part of me at times will be like, well, maybe he's an elite guy because some of his rookie cards have pretty high value.
Yeah.
But when you learn about that era and learn how few cards were printed, how low the pop counts are, and then know kind of the backstory about like how he didn't sign barely at all as a rookie, it's like, are they kind of artificially high because they're so scarce? And where I don't include a guy like, because his numbers are stupid, right? I mean, he's definitely a superstar hockey player, but you look at like the stuff that comes out right now, and you compare what people spend for the McDavid, Matthews, and Crosby cards versus Pasternak, it's not really all that close.
I'll tell you one thing that I've been doing. I haven't pulled the trigger on a lot of them because, of course, I'm an idiot sometimes, but I'm giving away my strategy here. But those Slab Shark auctions, man, I'm always searching for those middle tier guys. Yeah. And any auction, just trying to find those PWCC, trying to find some good values in those, especially right now.
Okay, the next question. Which young star is more likely for hobby rebound? Matty Beniers, Trevor Zegras, or Cole Caulfield? There's been a lot of like really cool things that have happened in the hobby this year with not just Bedard Mania, but you have Austin Matthews is scoring like 1 billion goals. You've got Sidney Crosby who's playing amazing. You got McKinnon who's like going nuts and having a ridiculous season. But beyond this year's rookie class, it's like there's some been key guys from the last few years that people have spent a lot of money on that have really struggled this year, Troy. So you've got Trevor Zegras, who we've talked about a lot. He's only played 20 games this year. He's got 7 points, 4 goals. PSA 10, Young Guns is down 48% in the last 6 months. Matty Beniers, this season has been kind of a disaster, honestly. 60 games played, 9 goals, 18 assists, 27 points. PSA Young Guns PSA 10 last 6 months is down 58%. And then Cole Caulfield, who has, his stats aren't as bad. He's got 20 goals and 53 points in 67 games. But you got to remember, his hobby market almost inexplicably went nuts after he got hurt last year because everyone was so excited about the pace he was on. He was pacing for 45 goals last year. So if he finishes with 22, 23, 24 goals, that's going to be somewhat disappointing, I think. So, yeah, I consider his season a little bit disappointing. And, we don't get to see these guys play every day, but we read a lot. And I don't know, just the sense of it. I kind of wish I've seen Beniers play more. Like if there's something more to what's going on, because he just seems to have fallen off a cliff. Like I look at all the box scores and he's never in it.
Yeah, when you bring up these 3 names, the thing, Zegras is the guy. I know a lot of people don't like him. They think he's cocky. He's the one guy I actually love that he's flashy and cocky, but the more he keeps going in Anaheim itself, it's just, I won't think he'll rebound until he gets out of there. I think he needs to get out. I think he needs a new situation. Beniers, like you said, I haven't watched him enough, but he's never in the stat line. And we've kind of seen his market fall off a cliff. Caulfield, I guess, is the guy I would lean to the most. I have the most experience with actually playing in the Big Ten and watching him. And I know how skilled he is. I think Montreal's got pieces around him that can click and be good. So I would lean towards Caulfield, even though Montreal's not having the greatest season, right? If I remember right. I know they're less than 500. But I think Caulfield's the one I would lean towards as having a hobby rebound.
Okay, a couple more. Who has more to lose this postseason if their team does not win the cup? McDavid or Matthews? My gut tells me it's McDavid, but go ahead.
I was going to say McDavid. To me, McDavid is the name that always pops out because it's just you got to get your cup. It seems like that's all we talk about with him now. You have your buddy in arms, Draisaitl. You guys have to win a cup. Show us you can do it. So he's the one that always pops in my head first in this conversation. Plus, he's having another ridiculous season this year. He's an assist machine this season, isn't he? Like, what's going on there?
He's only got like 25 goals. Yeah. Which is crazy.
Where Matthews might have 60-some goals.
I think it's hard right now to evaluate should he or should he not have a cup or more at this point, because you can point to, well, he's only 27 years old. He should have 8 years left. Well, maybe not 8, but 6 years left of prime.
Yeah.
Probably. He seems to take care of himself. He's a big guy. He's not like these like tiny, slight guys that worried about getting injured. But on the flip side of that, though, Troy, he's in his 9th year.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's played in 2 years, like, the Bedard, 50 games like Connor Bedard. Now, he does have 5 Art Ross trophies, 3 Hart trophies, 1 Rocket Richard, and 4 Ted Lindsay awards. So, I mean, he's got a pretty solid resume. And then Matthews, on the flip side, is 26, so he's a year younger. In his 8th NHL season, he has 2 Rocket Richard winners, 1 Hart, 1 Ted Lindsay. I just come back to, I think that they're looked at almost like different players, where McDavid's looked at the best player in hockey. And if you're the best player in hockey, you kind of feel like the best player in hockey should win a Stanley Cup, right? Where Matthews is it seems like he's judged more as just like a pure goal scorer.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Brett Hull thing, right? Where he's just going to snipe and raw. He's probably, I don't want to compare him to Brett Hull, but I just don't know if he's judged today on that same kind of expectation of winning. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I kind of agree with it. Here's my thing too. Say if McDavid doesn't win a cup, he's a free agent 26-27 season. Do you think would you see him moving? Like, just say, I'm out of here. I want to go somewhere else and try to win a cup, because there's always some piece that Edmonton can't put around him, whether it's defense, goalie, who knows, whatever it is. But that's what I'm curious about when he becomes an unrestricted free agent. And if say he doesn't have that cup, does he bail?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it depends on probably where he thinks the team is at and how much of it about he's concerned with legacy, because you would think that that's the only thing that he's proven everything else at this point that is the most like motivating to him. Okay, last one. Quinn Hughes, 2023-24 hobby breakthrough, Troy. Is it a nice moment, or is he here to stay? So we've studied the hobby quite a bit over the last couple of years, and we've definitely learned that hobby elite defensemen are very few and far between. The prevailing thought is that the hobby gravitates to offensive production, particularly goal scoring, of course. So for a long time, it's kind of been Bobby Orr and everyone else for defensemen. And sure, there's total legends like Bork and Brian Leach and Nicholas Lidstrom and all those other guys, but none of them have quite the same gravitas as Orr and, of course, the forwards that we think about and the all-time greats. And which was why in 2021-22, when Cale Makar emerged, it was so exciting, right? In his monster season, culminated with the Norris, Stanley Cup, and Conn Smythe. And now this year we've had the emergence of maybe another defensive hobby star. We've done a deep dive on him, so we've learned a lot about Quinn Hughes. And I would probably say too, like when a year or two down the road, we'll most remember this year for Bedard, of course. But other than that, it's kind of going to be, I think in my mind, the other thing that's going to stick out is the year of the Hughes brothers.
Yeah.
The Jack Hughes breakout, Quinn Hughes, and then Luke has been pretty good as a rookie for the Devil as well. But digging into Quinn Hughes real quick, career high 13 goals. His 77 points leads all NHL defensemen. It's his 5th season, and if you discount the shortened COVID season of 2020, his offensive production has increased every year.
Yep.
Now, it's where his hobby stats that, this is a hobby show, of course. So if you look at since the start of 2023-24 in the middle of October, Troy, 4,681 Quinn Hughes cards have sold in the secondary markets. If you go back to his very first card that was sold 4 years prior to the start of the season, so there's 9,200 sold. So in 4 years, 9,200 cards sold, and then in the last 6 months, 4,681. That's a third of his all-time sales have been in the last 6 months. Crazy. And then if you look at like prior to the season start, in the 4 years prior, 90 cards of his had sold for 500 or more. Since the start of the season, 95 have sold for 90 or more. 90 or $500 or more. Definite hobby breakthrough. Even his 2019 Young Guns PSA 10 pop 2,448, 64% gem rate is up 41% over the past 6 months. I would say pretty good for a big pop count card. So kind of evaluating everything, what we've learned. In your mind, Troy, is this going to be kind of a cute hobby moment like we had with J-Rob last year or Tage Thompson? Or do you think he's here to stay as an elite kind of hobby defenseman?
I think he needs to get to 20 goals to stick around. If he keeps having huge assist seasons, because he's an assist machine right now. Obviously, he's got 13 goals, which is career high. But I don't think you can stay super hobby relevant with 15 goals and 90 assists during a season. We've seen.
Well, your name is Roman Yossi at that point.
Yeah, you're Roman Yossi. So now his career stats, and obviously he's like, I just looked, 39 goals, 279 assists, lots of assists, not a lot of goals, but it's trending up, right? 13's a career high this season. But I do think he has to get more goals to stay hobby relevant.
You think a deep playoff run is important too? Like if they get bounced,
for sure, just to keep his name, just to keep his name in there. In Vancouver, I don't know. What do you think? I mean, it's Canada, so it's got a huge hockey market, but for U.S. buyers, Vancouver, West Coast, all that stuff, it kind of
just don't get to see them play.
Don't see them play that much. We do at the Wild because I think we're in the same. We have to play them a bunch, but.
All right, well, those are our 7 burning questions facing the hockey hobby. If you guys have any insight or opinions that you want us to know, go ahead and message us on social media or wherever we can be found. We'd love to hear from you too. Okay, we're going to move into new product releases. We're kind of the calm before the storm before Parker's Champions comes out on Wednesday. But it gave us an opportunity to do something that has been in the back of my mind and what I wanted to kind of look into. So I think both of us have felt that the 2022-23 O-Pee-Chee Platinum release has been a little quiet. Is that fair to say?
Yes, definitely seems quiet, and I think it's overshadowed. But and the release year, and we've said this about this 22-23 rookie class is not panning out to be the best, so it's probably helped keep it quiet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was released right before Series 2, so that probably drowned it out pretty quickly. Now we have opened up boxes, and the set quality is a lot better this year. That was another issue, was the kind of the flop of the quality in 2021-22. We know that Troy and many are not fans of dull gold in seismic goals, but that's kind of a minor thing. I don't think that would derail.
That should not drive a set being quiet or people hating it and not buying it. It's just one of those annoyances more than anything.
So I was really excited to look at secondary market sales and see, well, is anyone buying these? Who are the big chases? Are they paying premiums, or are people being pretty conservative with what they're spending? And so we have the top 5 secondary market sales to date. So it's been, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks or something like that since it came out. They're all eBay sales. So a reminder here that every eBay sale that we report is verified as paid for in Terapeak. So the number 5 top selling card from 2022-23 O-Pee-Chee Platinum is a Wyatt Johnston orange checkers out of 25 that sold for $252 US on March 7th. Of the rookies at this point, he's probably doing the best, so no surprise there. Number 4 is Owen Power, a rookie auto orange checkers. So these are out of 15, where the regular non-auto are out of 25. It's over $255 US on March 5th. Number 3 is a Jake Sanderson rookie autograph seismic gold out of 25 for $296. That sold on March 7th, $296. The number 2 highest sale, Troy, is a Juraj Slavkovsky rookie auto blue tracks redemption, sold for $500 US on March 3rd. And then number 1, back to Jake Sanderson. Jake Sanderson rookie auto emerald surge out of 10 sold for $706 US on March 10th. No Matty Beniers, no Matt Boldy, no Marco Rossi in the top 5. And speaking of Beniers, Troy, and how much he's fallen, biggest sale for a platinum O-Pee-Chee Platinum card for him so far is $180 US for a matte pink rookie auto that I think covers the box cost. Who would have thought that you pull a year ago, a Matty Beniers rookie auto out of O-Pee-Chee Platinum and you wouldn't be in the green on the box yet. And then Boldy, I think, has had a rainbow auto and a blue tracks auto. The top sales like 148 or something like that.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I think that's what really stands out to me in this is that the really the headliners from this rookie class have I would have predicted this for Matt Boldy. I just kind of think this is who he is, unfortunately, for us Wild fans. But didn't know enough about Beniers last year to predict. Again, we talked about it already today, the year that he's having. But when you're top 5 are Jake Sanderson, Slavkovsky, Sanderson, Owen Power, and Wyatt Johnston, yeah, I think that's a pretty clear indicator.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the only good thing for me is I hope box prices come down. I think they've come down $10 already, which is pretty telling in a couple weeks. But yeah, the rookie class just isn't that exciting. They've had kind of a drop, but to me, the box prices come down. I like the product. I really like the product. Besides my annoyance with the dullish gold on the seismic golds, I've been pretty happy. Now it happened. I got a really good box with a couple seismic golds, and I mean, I got a Beniers out of 25. It wasn't an auto, but
yeah,
some good stuff. But obviously, it's Beniers, so good for me, I guess. But I do like the product. I think the quality is way better, 100 times better than the previous release, where it had all the momentum, and then we have the quality issues. Kind of kills all that momentum, and now here we are at 22, 23.
Jake Sanderson, the top seller. There is kind of a big chase for him amongst Ottawa fans. They seem to really like him. So, last thing, a new product release is a really quick update on the hockey release calendar. So, Upper Deck sent us an updated schedule of releases. As we know, Parker's Champions, which we're very excited about, comes out this upcoming Wednesday. Then the next release, which we haven't really got to yet, is 2023-24 SP Game Used on April 3rd. I guess, Troy, here's to hoping an abundance of game used memorabilia actually in this product, and it lives up to its name. That would be awesome.
I hear you. I'm going to tell you something. I was digging into SP Game Use checklists and stuff. I think I'm kind of digging it. I might want to try.
Good. I'm not like, I don't want to not like it. Well, I had the recollection too on our live show. This is where Billy Celio had mentioned the Netcord card from Bedard's first game, right?
I think so. And
that could be in the set.
Yeah, if you look at, I was digging into these because we have a mailbag question that's kind of related.
Okay.
And I just did a lot of digging on TCDB, and it's like even past sets. I was like, you know what? Maybe I have been a little harsh. We're not wrong when we say there is a lot of, for a product called Game Use, there's a lot of manufactured stuff in there. Or not a lot, but there's enough to be kind of annoying. But I've been really looking into this set, and I think I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna get into it, I think.
So April 3rd, and that's coming up pretty quick.
Yep.
Be a couple weeks after Parker's Champions. And then after that, on a week later, April 10th, right now, would be 2023 Metal Universe Champions. Unlicensed set. Normally has a few hockey guys in it. I would assume there's going to be a Bedard. Ding. There we go. We're so random with it. There's going to be Bedard cards in it. I want to see a PMG of Bedsy and Wayne hugging it out.
In unlicensed jerseys, like in the.
Yeah, I'm such a licensing snob that personally Metal Universe Champions doesn't do a lot for me. What about you?
No, it's just me. I've looked at them. I think I've seen it enough that I know it's not me. I am curious about the expo at the Upper Deck booth. Are they going to have big Connor Bedard pictures with his auto, or they have those? What do they call it? Those boxes. I can't remember what they call them, like the monumental boxes or something. Like, is that the right word? Where you can buy and open it. It's usually some kind of autographed memorabilia,
like a skate or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's what's on tap. All right, we got to go to mailbag, but first, just want to mention PWCC Quick as they're a sponsor of our show, and we're very, very, very grateful for their support. Remember, the March premiere auction ends this upcoming Thursday night. 3 amazing cards are in the auction. There's a 1979 O-Pee-Chee Gretzky PSA 8.5. Has the PWCC above average eye appeal rating. Puts in the top 30% for that grade. A couple of cool McDavid rookies then too. There's a 2015 The Cup McDavid Gold, RPA at a 12. Very big card. And then maybe my favorite of the lot, a 2015 Upper Deck Ice McDavid Ice Premier's RPA at a 10. BGS 9.510, sick patch. Got the oil drop in it. Love this card. So again, be sure to head to pwccmarketplace.com to place your bids. Also a reminder that the current PWCC weekly auction is live and will be ending this upcoming Thursday night. Troy, I looked today ahead. I don't do this real often. I'm very excited for this next auction. There's some big cards in it.
Nice.
Cannot wait till our preview on Thursday. That being said, if I was you all, I would go check them out now. Why wait? You can bid now at pwccmarketplace.com. And then lastly, don't forget, hang out with the Hockey Card Oracle, Jeremy Lee, and then I guess the Hockey Court Jester, me, on Sunday night starting at 8:30 Central on Jeremy's YouTube channel, Sports Cards Live. We break down all the cool hockey cards ending in the current PWCC weekly and muck it up with everyone in the chat. Mailbag time. The great mailbag.
Let's do it.
Instagram, Cards AH. Do you think Bedard will be the most graded young gun? If so, what's the over-under when? I think 2 years from now, it will be close. I would actually agree with you, Cards AH. I think 2 years is a reasonable timeline, and I do think it'll be the most graded young guns of all time.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think it's the trending we've seen. I looked, and it's at 185 at PSA. And I didn't see any at Beckett, which I don't know if no one submitted them or they just slow on grading them or something. Or maybe I'm just an idiot.
I bet you more have gone to SGC than Beckett.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that could be. So I only looked at PSA and there's 185 graded at PSA right now. So 2 years kind of seems right, but we'll see. 6 more months down the road, we'll have a better idea, obviously.
Next from Discord, just hockey cards. If the 1990 O-Pee-Chee Premier Jaromir Jagr did not have 12,000 graded copies, what do you think would mean for its value? And once the Bedard Young Guns reaches 20K graded copies by June, what do you think it'll mean for the value? Well, I really like the 1990 O-Pee-Chee Premier Jaromir Jagr. It's a fantastic card.
Yeah.
And I'll go back to the junk wax perception.
Yeah.
Hurts more than the pop count. It's not even the highest, most graded, but not the highest PSA 10. Currently sells for 146 US on Card Ladder. The PSA 10 again pop is 3,666. Now Jack Hughes PSA 10 pop is 4,836 and sells for 225. So it's that whole perception thing. As far as Bedard getting to 20,000 graded copies by June, I don't see that happen, but maybe someday. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anything to add to that?
Well, I would say if Bedard get to 20,000 graded copies by June, I would expect the price to start falling a little bit.
Instagram, Pat's 90s. Does anyone know if the insert ratio of the 1994-95 Ultra All Rookie Silver Sparkle? Can't find a thing on the web or among collectors except for the regular All Rookie. You looked into this one.
Josh, this should have been a hockey hobby mystery. We should have did it twice in a row, but Pat's 90s is giving us these crazy ones. So I agree with him. I couldn't find a definite number either. There's all rookies, which he kind of mentions he could find that. That's 1 in 37 packs. But I can't figure out if the sparkling silvers were included in the hot packs that they also included. Because you read the sell sheet and you try to go through this stuff, and I don't know if the sparkling silvers were in the hot packs. Those are 1 in every 72 packs, but that's just to get a hot pack. And then the inserts in those hot packs, who knows how they were distributed. So it doesn't really help because of kind of what I said. So it's kind of a mystery. So again, we're going to put the bat signal out if anyone knows. But I spent way too long trying to figure this out, and I just couldn't figure out the silver sparkles on 94 Ultra on actual pack odds for those.
I just had this hit me, Troy, that if you had no context of the hockey hobby, you could listen to a couple of guys like us talk about it and think that we're like reading the script of like a Saturday morning cartoon made for a 6-year-old girl. Silver sparkles, hot packs.
It's like rainbow. I don't know what they called. My Little Ponies.
Yeah, My Little Pony. Instagram, Max's Wax. How many Bedard Young Guns were produced? Over, under 500,000. I don't think it's 500,000.
Yeah,
and I actually did the math here because I was kind of interested. Because you know the ratios, right? Is that if there's 500,000 Young Guns, and they're in basically one in every 8.3 boxes. I did all the confusing math, and that would have mean that there's 2.5 million of each base card printed, which I don't think is the case. My best guess would be, and I have who knows, but would be like 100 to 150,000.
Yeah,
What do you
you
think?
think about that 2.5 million of each base card. I think someone figured out on Fanatics with the new Tops release that it's almost like a million base cards for
Okay.
each player. And we know that has to be a huger print run than hockey. So
Yeah.
that's where I kind of lean to. I'm guessing it's a lot. I'd say higher towards the 150 than the 100. That's where I
Yeah.
would lean.
All right. Next question from Instagram. Great trading collection. Has anyone seen a Bedard French variation yet? Well, the
Oh,
French variation parallels were discontinued starting with Series 1 back in the fall. So that would have been 2023-24 Series 1. So there will not be a Bedard Young Guns, what is it, Eunice Loops or whatever they say?
Uniswoops.
No Frenchies.
Do you think that will be an insert at some point? Maybe they just want to
Like
throw
a
another.
tribute or retro.
Yeah,
I mean, it'd be a
tribute
great,
French.
yeah. Instagram, Dact Mac fan cards. Will Bedard's base Young Guns enter the top 10 for all time most graded hockey cards by the end of this calendar year? Okay, you can go with that one first. Troy.
That's a great question. I love these questions where I have to actually go do some research. And at this point, I'm going to just say yes. And I looked at PSA. The number 10 hockey graded card of all time is the 89 O-Pee-Chee Joe Sakic. And that has 6,471 graded copies at PSA. I'm thinking there's a chance Bedard can get to that.
Yeah, I'm going to be bold and say yes. YouTube, Abbey Road, 1962. Great question here. Has any position player ever worn a jersey with the number 1 on it besides a goalie? This is a Troy rabbit hole question, so I'm going to let you go down it.
Yeah, I went such down a rabbit hole. So I'm gonna kind of preface this. So yes, there have been position players that have worn number 1 that were not a goalie, and it was so hard to figure this out. Like Hockey Reference has a really good thing where you pick the number and then shows all the players, but of course it didn't show the positions with them. So at first I started clicking on every single person and it was like that I didn't know. And I was like, that's not
Yeah.
going anywhere. So then I started doing more research, reading some websites, some online forums. And basically, here's what I can tell you. The only one I could really confirm that wore it, that was a position player, was Glenn Smith. He was a right winger for Chicago in 1950-51. He did wear number 1. Confirm that. And then looking at some other people that responded, it looks like Babe Siebert, Herb Gardner, Sprague, Cleghorn, Marty Burke, Tony Garboski, Normie Hines. We've talked about some of these guys.
Yeah.
Daniel, what that is, Poudrier, which was a pretty recent one, 87-88, which if you look at Hockey Reference, it shows him as wearing 2. So some people, I don't know. Danny Cox and Hap Day were some other ones. So a lot of these guys were from the 20s and 30s that wore it. And again, this comes back in the day. It was 1 was a goalie, 31 or 30 was a goalie, maybe 31. But again, Glenn Smith's the only one I could actually confirm that he did wear number 1 and was a right winger. So great question. Loved going down that rabbit hole.
All right, next question. Instagram, GopherFan90. Besides Card Ladder, what's another good site for getting up-to-date hockey card prices? I collect mostly raw cards and like that pricing. There's a lot of options out there. Card Ladder is our favorite. We just think it's really easy to use. There's another subscription site that would be Market Movers. A lot of people like that. We've used it as well too. Then there's free options like 130 Point or eBay Sales History or Terapeak in eBay. But those are kind of the main ones.
Yeah, I was gonna say another one too that I kind of forgot about and just remembered. Center Stage. I've used in the past where you can take a photo of the card, and I think Card Ladder has this option now too.
Yep,
where you take a photo of it and then it bring up eBay prices. So it's going to a source, but it's another thing you could use. But yeah.
All right, next question. Instagram, Stephen Walton. Curious if there have been opportunities for local hobby shops to reorder hobby boxes, tins, or blasters, or are we seeing the end of the wave of Series 2, and should we expect and accept that prices will now hold or keep increasing. I really think that this is, Troy, like dependent on, it's different probably for every card shop. It depends on
Yeah.
their relationship with distributors, the volume that they typically order. I know a lot of distributors have kind of attached other products. Like if you want more Series 2, you got to
Yep.
buy more of X. And so I'm not sure there's an across the wave, but given how much we think this is printed and even how much demand there's been, I still think there's probably a lot of it that is yet to get open. What do you
Yeah,
think?
I agree with you. And I think this is a great question. It's something that we maybe next time we're in LCS, we can ask them, see if they'll give us an answer.
All right, Discord 86 Collectibles. He has two questions. He says, I'm thinking about selling one of my two kids for a Series 2 case. Should I sell my oldest or youngest? Both are annoying. I thought a lot about this, 86, and it's a tough question. I think you have an additional problem, though, because based on recent comps, a Series 2 hobby case is selling for 1.5 children. Might have to settle for like a case of retail tins or something like that if you're willing to just part with one. And then when your wife's upset with you because like one of the kids is gone, you can just blame Upper Decker to the distributors.
Yeah, blame whoever's name is on the box, I guess.
Okay, his next one's a real one.
Yeah.
If you could design a set for Upper Deck, which one would it be and why? What would you do differently? And Troy, you can't say SP Legends or Parker.
Oh, so unfair. They just
All
they
right,
know
so
me
you want to
too
go
well.
first, or do you have an answer
I'll
here?
go first. Because I know what your answer was. I could have picked that one because you've talked about it a lot. And I think looking at it from what do I want? I want to design. Stature would definitely be one that I would love to work on because I would want to dive more into the steampunk aesthetic and the graphics, the art design. And then I would
Yeah.
also want to do something around the inserts. I don't know exactly what I'm going to solve on the inserts, but putting more steampunky stuff into the insert design. Just because I like how the basis cards are with the borders and everything, but I think there's more that can be done.
Yep.
Second one, this was where I was thinking about SP Game Used a lot and did a lot of digging. I would want to change, or if I help design it, I want to make it so stuff that is in that game news stuff, you can identify what game it came from, like the net cord.
That'd be awesome.
And baseball does this with a lot of stuff they sell at the stadiums. There's like a code on there, and you can look it up, and it'll tell you if it's a ball, foul ball hit by whoever, Byron Buxton on the state. I think that'd be super cool. I bet it would be time consuming. I might triple the box price, but I think it would be so super cool. And then again, anything with a patch, I want a photo of it. So every set that has a patch, I want a photo documented. So those would be, I just probably said every set. I'm working on it. But that's what my first initial thoughts were on this question.
I like those ideas. And two, it's like, I think what bothers me so much about SP Game Use is the potential I see for it. Like,
Yeah.
it could really be a premier set, and it
Well,
could.
they do have some awesome stuff in there, like
They
neck
do.
cords,
Yep, you're right.
sticks, gloves, leg pads. Like it, that stuff is to me the essence of that product, right?
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to obvious me, and I would do SP Authentic, so
Yep.
both SP brands a little bit. I would do less Future Watch or retro Future Watch autos. I think there's too many insert chases. I would experiment with a bunch of. I think it's too simplistic to say, you need a hot insert card. You're gonna have to test your way into that, and so I would try to develop a plan to do that. And then in the place maybe of the retro Future Watch autos, it's maybe more complicated, but I also think the sign of the time multiple auto cards are what really make that set unique.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to see more of those.
So more big booklets.
Not even no, just like the sign of the times 3 or
Okay.
4.
You know,
Even.
you said something very interesting to me, like the design, the inserts, and how to get into them, how you test them. And I was thinking about with Series 2, the deep roots. Like that was
Yeah.
one that I looked at and I didn't think much of it, but man, I was almost surprised at the amount of feedback that people have given that they like it. Like they really like it. And I was just kind of indifferent, but the more I've looked at it, I'm like, yeah, I can see that. It's kind of cool. But a lot of people like that and just testing now. Maybe that keeps going forward. I just thought that was interesting.
Okay. I really like this next question. It's from
Okay.
Instagram, Hockey History in Memorabilia. Am I crazy, or does it seem like an inordinate amount of some kind of Bedard card is being hit from seemingly almost every Series 2 box? Are there a gazillion Bedards printed from this product? It does. It's the mind tricks of social media.
Yeah.
Remember, in hobby boxes, it's in 12% of boxes. The difference is the people that are lucky and are of the 12% are excited and they're running to social media to post about it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody does that.
No.
If you get skunked, you're not going to do a social post that said, I got skunked. And
You
actually
message
today,
us because we've had
yeah, you
people
message.
message us, which is fun. Please do let us know because it's kind of helpful. But
But
people
I
have
thought,
got skunked.
oh yeah, I thought this was awesome. So I saw a post today on Instagram and a very honest post. And it was somebody who was posting their base Bedard Young Guns. And I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember exactly, but it basically said, finally got my Bedard's Young Guns after 9 hobby boxes, like 3
Wow.
megas and 4 blasters.
Wow.
That's a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
and who knows what they paid or when they pre-sold or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing wrong with, but I just thought that was a very, because I think like where everyone kind of rolls their eyes is oh, I split a blaster box with 7 of my friends and pulled the Connor Bedard. I spent
Yeah.
$1 on it, and it's like, oh god. Instagram Tapper30. What do you think the pros versus cons of auctioning cards versus buy it now with offers selling on eBay? Well, I think the standard like difference between just selling your card with a buy it now versus an auction is auctions you get more upside on the price. So you have the chance to get a competition or a bidding war, but it's going to sell, right? You said a week long auction,
Yes.
and whether there's competition or not, it's going to sell. And if your goal is to move the card, it's a great way to do that.
Yep.
Some auctions you're going to do amazing on, other auctions you're going to be disappointed.
Yep.
Buy it nows can sit there forever, but you're um trading risk for that, right? You're saying I'm not willing to risk this card for selling less than I wanted to, so I'm willing for it to stay here for 2 months if it takes that to get this price.
Yeah.
Anything
Agree.
to add to that?
No, it's if I want to move something, I usually auction. If I just want to sell it, but I want to get a better the price I want. I know what I want. Then it's buy it now.
All right, Facebook, Nick Priest. What do you think Upper Deck will charge for Hobby Box and E-Pack for Series 2
$1
when they
million.
release it? All right, you take this one.
I was thinking about that too. It's very interesting because when we talk about Upper Deck and E-Pack, generally the thought is they keep the prices higher on E-Pack so not to undercut hobby shops. However, and Josh, you might have to, when do you Series 1 boxes hit E-Pack? Do you
It's
remember?
on there.
Because
I
23,
want to say it's on E-Pack. I want to say it's on E-Pack right now.
yeah, it is. And it's cheaper than Steel City or David Adams
Yeah.
by like $5 to $10 US. So
Well, that's the problem without having an MSRP for Upper Deck is that when you say we don't want to undercut our local card shops, but the prices are all over the board. How do you even know what on average what they're charging? Because
yeah,
these sound like these card shops are in a like super sophisticated, like tied in point of sale system
no, they're
where
not.
Upper Deck knows, it's like post-it notes on the boxes typically is how these are priced. So yeah, I don't know how they do it. Yeah, so a box is $140 right now at E-Pack for Series 1.
Okay, yeah, so it's like a little bit cheaper than Steel City David Adams, like $5 or $10.
But Allure is 130, and what is that?
Which is
80
way,
on
it's
80?
way more. Yeah, I agree.
That's why you have to shop in this hobby. You have
Well,
to.
you want to know a crazy one, and I'll bring it up for my Marvel fans. WandaVision on E-Pack for a hobby box is $185. You can
Okay.
go to David Adams and get it for $70.
Ooh.
It is crazy how the difference is between those. But again, getting back to Series 2,
But if you're really big though into a speckled rainbow or silver foil,
it's the only
you have
way,
no
right?
choice, I guess.
Yep. So Series 2, if it's still at 300 by the time it comes out on E-Pack, I don't know, 350 to 400, but I think they'll keep it a little higher, but I don't know how long they will. I don't know, because you gotta remember there's all these boxes now sitting at ComC, just waiting to get opened. So it's a great question. I wish I knew more that I should did research on the history of when things hit E-Pack and pricing comparisons, but I didn't.
Mm-hmm. Instagram, Ojibwe86, a really good question. What type of
Yeah.
stat line would a defenseman need to win the Hart Trophy in today's NHL? You did a lot of work on this, so I'll let you run with it.
Well, I was just saying, it has to be pretty special, I feel like, in today's game, because the last defenseman to win the the Hart Trophy, I believe was Pronger, right, in 2000.
Yeah.
And then you have to go back to Bobby Orr before Pronger. So I think you have this problem, and I've heard this before from pundits where defensemen, they'll say, "Hey, defensemen already have their trophy. It's the Norris Trophy.
right?
They have their special trophy. Just give the Norris to whoever." Even though I think the Norris is supposed, I don't know. I never.
You could make the same case for a goalie, right?
Yes,
that the goalie has to. Yeah.
And I've never kind of bought that argument. Plus, I'll be honest, I think voters can be lazy and just look at stats, and that's all they look at. And typically, your defensemen aren't going to have the best stat lines, but they could be the best defenseman in the world, shutdown defenseman. They never get scored on. But out of 99 times the Hart Trophy's been awarded, only 13 have went to defensemen. So you're going to have crazy offensive numbers, I think, just to get those people that wouldn't vote for you to vote for you. That's how I kind of look at it. It's you're going to have to be over 100 points by far, maybe 120, and with goals. You can't just be an assist machine.
So I said 35 goals, 115 points.
Okay, you're probably close. Yeah, that seems fair. But then you have, if any forward beats you, I think they'll get it over a D anytime.
I get what you're saying though. Like a lot of it feels like a popularity contest, and so much as your reputation. Like I'm really curious to see, like by any objective measure, McKinnon should run away with the Hart Trophy at this point.
Yeah,
but I bet you McDavid still gets a lot. Not that McDavid's been bad, but it's like everyone's so reflexive to Connor McDavid.
Yeah,
he's the best player, right?
Or if Austin Matthews can get 65 goals, does that change the conversation?
All right, Instagram, Alex Mac D7, 2021-22 Cup question. Do the Young Gun printing plate booklets only come out for Series 1 and Series 2 rookies? I've looked for extended series Young Guns, haven't seen any examples yet. Best way to do this is always like just Google the checklist, and like Beckett now that Cardboard Connections kind of kaput is your best bet. Now back in 2021-22 extended, that's where they still did 50 Young Guns. So God, there's 150 Young Guns that year. 22 of them are booklets. So I'm guessing maybe the players you're looking for, you're not finding, but all 22 are on the Beckett checklist.
Oh, Josh, I got an update.
Yeah.
It looks like Cardboard Connection is back. I see new releases on there from 2024. So maybe they're trying to do something. I don't know. I didn't look at hockey. Let's see what. Nope, the last hockey set they have is ice, so they haven't updated that. But okay, We'll see.
Facebook, Dave Preston. What do you think Macklin, or what impact do you think Macklin Celebrini will have on the hockey hobby? Another excuse to increase box prices? ? Will he be PC'd? Like with Bedard? Oh, he says ping Troy. Right, or Slavkovsky, and he says go BU. Yeah, we're not going to make that mistake of calling him a Boston College kid.
Yeah.
In my mind, he's got nowhere near the hype of our boy Bedsy. As of right now, Celebrini is the favorite, probably prohibitive favorite to be the number one pick in this summer's NHL entry draft. Of course, a lot can happen between now and then. See Shane Wright.
Yep.
That being said, though, the Boston University freshman has 30 goals, 25 assists for 55 points in 33 games played. Is a Hobie Baker finalist for a freshman. That's insane.
Yeah.
And he's really young, too. Did you know that?
Like, he's one of those.
He's going to be 17 during the draft, even, or something like that. Or
that's crazy, because if you read what's that? Outliers. The book Outliers, they go in. I think, was it the Canadian hockey
January is like the month.
They look at the birth years and everything, how that plays into success.
Yeah, I don't know if the why, like this goes back to like why Bedard has so much more hype than Celebrini. I don't know if it's possible for a hobby to hype two guys to the extreme.
Yeah.
And so I think without that sort of superhuman Bedard level hype, his hobby market is going to come down. I mean, there will be a chase no matter what, but it's going to depend more on, number one, how soon he plays in the NHL. If they think he's ready next year, I don't know. And then once he does, how well he performs. Be more of kind of like a normal show me what you got situation versus there's almost nothing Bedard can do at this point to calm down the craziness. Do you agree with that?
Oh, I agree 100%. I'm flustered now. I was looking at SP Game Used, and literally 5 minutes later, I get an email from David Adams. Pre-order SP Game Used. Guys,
Creepy.
freaking me out.
Discord Braun, what are your thoughts on Matthews getting 60 to 65 goals and not breaking 100 points? I don't think that has ever happened with a player scoring 60 plus goals and not getting at least 100 points. So you did some research on this one.
I did, and what caught me was like when I kind of nodded my head, he's like, I don't think this ever happened. I was like, well, let's look. Go down the rabbit hole. It's happened 3 times in NHL history where a player got 60 or more goals, but less than 100 points in the season. 2011-12, Stamkos, Tampa Bay, 60 goals, 37 assists for 97 points. 75-76, we had Reggie Leach with Philadelphia, who had 61 goals, 30 assists, and 91 points. And then in 1982-83, Lanny McDonald with Calgary, 66 goals, 32 assists for 98 points. So we've definitely had it happen. I'm going to go on a tangent. Lanny McDonald, get off your high horse and put Jagr in the Hall of Fame. Every time I see his name, I get mad. He's just a curmudgeon old dude that won't budge. It's absolutely ridiculous. And, okay, rant over there. So while we've had it happen, still pretty rare. And we've had 42 instances in the NHL of a player scoring 60 or more goals, and only 3 times did they have less than 100 points. So that's definitely wild. Very rare, but it has happened.
Last question, Troy. An interesting one for us. Discord Blade Visionary.
Yeah.
Did you see this one, or is this your first time seeing it?
No, I saw this one, and I was thinking about it, and it's very thought-provoking.
He said, any thoughts on giving shout-outs or spotlights to various local card shows around the U.S. and Canada that listeners would nominate? I feel these stores have always been the reason where my sports cards have expanded since childhood and the existence.
So stores, not shows. I think, did you say shows?
Oh, stores. Oh,
stores. Because I was like, shows. I'm like, I didn't read that because, we used to do that.
Yeah, store. I read it. I was like reading too fast. Yeah, so that is an interesting point. It made me think of our local card show shout outs.
Yeah, that we used to do.
That we've done. I would have to think about that, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how relevant that would be. I totally get your point and understand the affection and affinity, especially to a local card shop and small business owners. And we definitely want to help those guys. And so Blade Visionary is on our Discord. Maybe we will reach out to you with more thoughts on that. And we have talked to a bunch of stores about how we can help promote them in a way that makes sense for everybody. So yeah, I totally missed that question. But we also don't do card show shoutouts anymore. We kind of fell off the map.
So. No, we kind of fell off the map. We have it in our Discord. Every once in a while, people put some stuff in there. I think it was getting hard to keep up. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
We turned into an hour-long segment trying to read card shows.
Well, personal pickups, Troy, it looks like we have an almost pickup.
I have an almost pickup because I just want to let everyone know out there, even though I have not bought a lot of stuff recently. I will fully admit that. But I got all excited. And if you're watching on YouTube, there was a Marian Gaborik Lamplighters Gold Auto that Slab Sharks had up for auction. Yeah, I'm watching this. I'm like, I'm going to get this thing. What do? I actually lay on the couch and literally fell asleep for like 20 minutes. And woke up and I just knew it. I knew the auction was over. I looked, the card sold for $27 US. I was so mad at myself because I kind of like Marian Gaborik cards when he's in Wild uniform. So I was like, I want this. I want to get this one. Totally missed it. Now, there might be a saving grace. I need to reach out to Karn. I don't show this as paid in Terapeak.
Ooh.
So maybe it's going to come back up. But now that I've told everyone, I'm sure I just might not be able to get it, but I hope
I don't think it's super rare.
Yeah, it's not super rare. And this is where I struggle. It's like I want our sponsors to get paid, but also if this comes back up, I am going to be bidding on this again. And
just tell me you'll pay it.
Yeah, no kidding. Just I'll buy it for whatever it was.
I'm trying to. I was talking to you yesterday. I keep getting sniped.
Yeah.
It's infuriating. But I don't have anything either. Nothing to report. Well, that's our show for today. If you like the episode, please leave a rating review on Apple, Spotify, or whatever podcast app you listen to us on. If you love the show, you want to support us, want to chat with us on the Hockey Cards Gongshow Discord server, please consider a $5 a month donation. Join our $1.99 support level tier on Patreon. Link is in the show description with their Instagram profile. You can search for Hockey Cards Gongshow on the Patreon website, Patreon, or just go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, and click on the Become a Patron link. We are on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And Troy, the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a production of Dollar Box Ventures LLC. Happy Monday. Happy start of the week. We will chat with you all on Thursday.